A little disclaimer before we get rolling here. You're about to hear some ads. They are all from local entities that want to support the baseball community. A lot of these guys have deep connections. We're players themselves, so if you see having a need for any one of these services, please go patronize these guys. Thank you. This episode is brought to you by Glisten Heating and Air. You can reach them at 217-341-3129 or visit glistenheatingandair.com. That's Glisson. This is owned and operated by Gibbs Gleason himself, a member of the 2000 Pleasant Plains baseball team that were state champs. That's the Dusty Bensko era, former guest. This guy's in the baseball community. He helps coach his son, who's in the local travel scene. This truly is the pros pro for HVAC in the area. I mean, this is a who's who of former pros that have used him. Let's talk about Corey Erickson, Jason Worth, Ryan Murphy, Jason Knadler, Justin Knadler, Brad Owens, Greg Morantz, Jason Washam, Eric Easley. His reviews speak for themselves. Call Glisten Heating and Air. They care about your air. We appreciate you. This episode is being brought to you by Eric Easley of the Easley Real Estate Team with the Real Estate Group. This team consists of Eric, Jamie Murphy, and Caitlin Fry. They can be reached at 217-971-3256 or at theeasleysalesteam.com. Eric was a standout quarterback and shortstop at Southeast back in the mid-90s and later starred at Western Illinois in baseball. Also one of the best umpires around this area for many years, teaming up with Bobby Erickson. He sold houses for all kinds of baseball dudes in the area. The Knadler brothers, Justin and Jason, Ryan Murphy, Todd Schneller, the Savota family. And when it was time for Corey to sell his house and buy his new house, there's only one place he went. That's Eric Easley and the Easley Real Estate Team. So go see these guys for all your real estate needs. We really appreciate you.
No, I don't.
Move forward here.
I think we're good, man.
Cool. This has been awesome. I told you guys that I tracked down Roger Erickson here. He's down in Georgia now. Everyone knows him as the guy that had like the facility here in Springfield for a long time. I shared a cool story about Roger, a big leaguer himself. I'll just run through a couple Roger things here. He was can't miss coming up. He could do it all on the field and at the plate. He had it all. Had the strength, had the tools. His bat speed and strength were big league all the way. He was such a great kid, and he listened to every coach when sometimes he shouldn't have. Very coachable. Roger and I were laughing about the Erickson baseball van with the Christmas lights on it.
Yeah.
And
the cat.
and the cats that were living in it. And then he said basically he moved away at one point, but it was still here. And he said like all of the North End lined up to salute it when it got towed away. Like it was like it was so if you guys don't remember, he had this van that was, I think it was gray, and he had like a big baseball on it that said like Erickson Baseball School, and like it was just, he's a character. I've got a couple clips here. Let's go Roger over coach to start with.
A few things happen like that when you're playing ball. Either you get a good coach or you get a coach who wants to try too much stuff. And that's probably what happened with Corey, where they, with a few strikeouts happening here and there, then all of a sudden they want to change this. Let's try this. Yeah. Let's try that. Let's try this. And you just can't play like that. You keep trying to change your stance, where you're holding your hands, and pretty soon you get kind of down on yourself. But you got to keep playing.
And then I got another one here. Roger playing the big leagues right now.
Well, I think I did. I talked to one of his coaches. And the guy said, look, he can go play in the big leagues right now at second base or third base, wherever we want to put him. And we just got to work out the hitting. I said, and they said, obviously, when he hits the ball, it's going to go, and he gives you 100%. There's just a little fine line there, or sometimes he just gets fooled. Not so much breaking pitches; it might be just off speed. Yeah, the off speed gets him. So I didn't know if it was. I always thought it might have been in in his grip sometimes because he was so strong. He had big hands like Mickey Mantle and big strong forearms.
Yeah.
To where sometimes when you're too strong and that top hand is a little too strong, it does a little too much work, which causes a kind of him swinging up and maybe just missing the ball. I don't know.
Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, same deal.
Sure. All right.
Same deal.
I've got some Casey stuff now I want to get to. Love to get into some Crookster. We've got a couple funny ones here, and I want to open it up. There was a funny story earlier that reminded me of this, and so we're going to open it up with this. Casey, we're going to call this NAIA. Who is this guy? Oh, it was because you were talking about getting some hacks in as kind of like an older guy, and like you took some hacks the other day. So here we go. You know what this is going to be? Okay.
Story number 2 is after his career was over, and I was coaching at Benedictine with Coach Torselli and company, and we're getting ready to start. We're getting ready to start a doubleheader at home at Lanford Park. We're playing a team, William Woods. They got a coach that is just unbelievable guys. His name's Coach Munns. I think I hit on it earlier when I said, I mean, he wrote a book. He's just a funny dude. He's a great guy. He's a legend in that NAIA conference. Yeah. And he comes, we're taking, pregame BP. We got the roll tunnel out there, and balls are, flying everywhere. And Corey's at the field. I don't even remember why he was there, but he's like, hey, care if I hop in, get some swings? And, of course, all of it, Tor's like, heck yeah, I want to see this. And he's wearing cargo shorts, probably a collared shirt, and some aviators. And he gets in there, and he's got a wood bat, and he's just cracking these mile-high bombs out of the park.
Really?
Yeah, and at that time, William Woods shows up, and they're doing the walk down the bleachers and to the gate right behind the fence, and they're all watching this dude. Now, keep in mind,
oh my God.
This is NAIA, so like there's very little like regulations on your age and your eligibility and stuff. So
yeah,
all these players are walking down. They're like, "Holy, who the hell is this guy?" And he's just bombing balls. And Munzie walks up to Coach Tor, and I won't use that language that he used, but he's like, "Hey, big man, who the hell's this guy? Where the hell did you find this guy at?" He thought he was on a recruiting trip or something. And, at this time, Corey's like, man, he's probably, I don't know, he's probably my age, mid-30s.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you should have seen the look on his face, man. He thought that this guy was, Tor was recruiting this guy. And he's like, man, this dude just got done. He played 10 years professionally, man. He's done, He's like, whew, thank God.
Man, that's perfect. What a great story. I'm going to use that.
Remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that. I do remember
That's
that.
amazing. Crook had some great stuff, and I just it was so cool hearing how he speaks about you. Just such an admiration. I always wanted a big brother too, so it was like it's cool. He got a Corey. Anyway, Brad might have looked up to him more than I did. Brad was obsessed. Brad Rupert, we're talking about, who was a strong baseball player in his own right at Chatham. Had such great character, never big-timed us, always played with us, was adventurous. He was so easy to look up to, a starter for 4 years in the 3 sports. We laughed about him trying to wake you up and giving you wet willies and that kind of stuff. No doubt the guy had zero fear. See a lot of Corey and Tripp, his son, and I've been hearing legends about this kid already. About he's going to be something. He's going to be a load.
Yeah,
I guess
no,
I hear
he's
that.
doing some things. He's a big dude.
Yeah, I hear he's strong and hitting like tanks. It's like a little kid.
Yeah.
My buddy Joe Knadler, I guess his son plays on his team or something like that, and he's like, you got to see this kid. He's just there's something special about him. So that's cool to see.
Yeah.
You have anything to add there? Sorry, I think I cut you off.
No, I was just gonna say he's got his oldest is Cooper. His youngest is Lane. He's got 3 boys, man. So he's gonna be at this for a while.
Yeah, he is. That's cool. I think that fearlessness was just in him. I loved rebounding for the Lanphier team. Me and Rupert, that was so fun, so cool to just be around him. I got another one here. Casey, bombs all the time.
Baseball, I remember him just hitting bombs all the time, and a lot of them were foul. He pulled everything.
But
the guy had no problem getting the barrel out. And I remember coaches are intentionally walking, putting him on base. Like I'm just not going to pitch to him. And I remember he signed his contract in the press box at Lanphier Park, and with the Mets. That was cool that I got to be in there. I got to be in there for that. That was really cool.
Cool. And then continuing on, I remember how physical and tough he was. It stood out to me that nothing ever got to him. I love when people tell me, and they still do to this day, that he's the best shortstop ever from this area. He sacrificed his body, whatever it took to win. I always remember that. Some of his strength was natural, but he really took off when he started pushing some weights around. I got to lift with him some when I was playing pro ball. Got to see him, throw some weights around in his 30s, and he was still really impressive then. Corey worked harder than I did. Corey never talked back. He just worked. He worked and I talked back. He laughed about that. He loved it. He enjoyed it. He wanted to do it. 3 sports is so hard to follow through and excel. It's incredible that he did it. I don't think anyone else will be able to do that again in kind of today's climate. Corey could have played any day defensively in the big leagues. Here we go. I got another one. Casey overcoached.
I think Corey was overcoached, and I think that happened a lot back in the day. I think players come in nowadays, and I think the coaches and the coordinators, I don't think they have to change much. They don't have to change their mechanics of hitting and stuff. They might talk about approach and things like that. Hey, why don't you try this a little bit? But I think he got overcoached, and I think some guys messed with him and tried to fix something that really wasn't broken. And maybe if there was just maybe an approach change, maybe things would be different.
Like that.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. But I don't know, man. Corey be able to answer that question probably better, and he's so selfless and humble that he's never going to put any blame on anybody else but himself.
Man, he's dead accurate on all of that, and we've kind of talked about you being overcoached. And do you have anything more to add, or you feel like we've kind of touched on that?
Yeah, well, I don't want to beat a dead horse.
Right.
And it kind of goes back to what we said all along, that it was my career.
Yeah.
And Casey's right. I'm not going to put my failures on anyone else. That was up to me, and there was maybe some influence that and Roger said it too. Maybe there was some influence that or some advice that I maybe shouldn't have taken.
Right. Or
whatever. It's a fine line, dude. You don't know what to do.
True.
Until it's done. So
well said.
No big deal.
He has a great life now. He's blessed. I don't think he lives with any regrets or what ifs. It's tough for a 20-year-old guy to tell a coach no, in terms of what we just kind of talked about, in terms of not listening to anyone else. Such a great day great dad. From day one, everything revolved around his kids. Whatever sacrifice needed to be done was made. Whatever he could do to make his kids successful was done. He has a fun father relationship with his kids. He would never tell his kids no to spending time with them in any way. And then my final Casey clip here is called Dip Run. You remember this? Dip Run story?
I don't know.
Here we go.
I do. I got a couple. I got 2 stories. All right. The first story I'll tell, it's more about me, but it's a funny story. He's in Tennessee playing for the Smokies, AA affiliate, really good team. There's a bunch of studs on this team. I think they were with was it Cleveland or was they still with the Cardinals at that point?
Yep.
Anyways, we go down to visit, and I threw a bullpen, for their pitching coach. I was like 16, I think, at the time.
Yeah.
So I got to go on the field and stretch, played long catch, threw a bullpen. Like, there's a video and, like, camera in the bullpen, like all the guys in the clubhouse were, like, watching me throw and stuff, and really cool experience for me, right? So we get done doing that. We go back in the clubhouse, and Corey's like, hey, he tapped me on the shoulder. He's like, I got to go out for some early work infield stuff. Don't do anything stupid. And I'm like, you got it. And so he leaves and goes to the field, and, like, this dude comes up. I don't remember who it was. He's like, hey, man, how old are you? And I'm like, 16. He goes, nice. You got a car? I'm like, nah, man. I flew in, and he's like, oh, well, we need you to make a dip run. And I'm like, I'm only 16 and I don't have a car. And he goes, nah, don't worry about it. He grabs my brother's keys out of his locker, and he hands me, he goes, here, take your brother's car. And I'm just like, I got like 5 dudes looking at me, and I got like $80 cash in my hand. I don't even know how I got there, and he's like, Copenhagen, fine cut. Just get as many as you can. I'm like, okay. If you say so. So I ran to the gas station, and I'm standing in line, and this girl, I think it was a girl who looked older than me, is trying to buy some booze, and she gets carded, and I'm just like, dude, I'm screwed. There's no way I'm coming back with you. A miracle happened. This guy just, rang me up. I came back with like 24 cans of Copenhagen. And when I get back into the clubhouse, like, Corey's like, he's in there. And he's like, what the hell are you doing? And I got this bag full of dip, and he's got this look on his face like he's kind of like, you took my car? But also, like, did you go get some dip for everybody? And I was like, yeah, man, I made a dip run. He's like, you gotta be shit.
Classic.
Yeah, guys were high-fiving me and stuff. That was a cool story that I remember from.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's a great story. Do
Yeah.
you remember it now?
What a score! I do. I do remember.
Little
that.
bro,
What a
run.
score! I wonder. I don't know if we ever established who the asshole was that gave him my keys.
Right? I love that, man. That's a great story by the Crookster, and that kind of rounds out our Crook stuff. I've still got Sherry and Bobby here. You ready to go on some Bobby?
Sure.
Let's rip through our Bobbies here. All right. I saved some of these, obviously, because they were timeline. Coaches told him to stop hitting so hard. They were worried about him. That would be football. All 3 teams turned around at Lanphier because of him. Everyone who knew Corey would tell you he's the toughest person they ever met. He got into a lot of scraps that no one knew about, and they ended quick. I saw it once, and it was vicious. Always battled the toughest player on the opposing basketball team. Played for the best AA team of all time. He talked about a story about you lifting weights with Manny Ramirez or something like that. You remember this? He told it as like, okay, I mean, dads tell stories. And he said something about like you were in the weight room when you were with Cleveland and Manny was in there and you were throwing around some big weights or something.
I mean, very possible.
Yeah.
Did
you ever remember rubbing elbows with Manny at all? Or?
Not a lot. Those guys were they were close though.
Yeah.
Like the big leagues and the minor leagues weren't like as separated as they are in a lot of clubhouses. Yeah. So you're all around there.
Yeah. His hands are impossibly strong. He drove Steven Dixon crazy for years, wouldn't let him get the ball. Corey dominated him. I felt sorry for the guys. Corey defended. He could have defended in the Big Ten. I truly believe that. His wingspan is like 6'7". Corey walked 52 times in his high school career. Springfield High walked him multiple times with runners on, bringing runs in. 20 scouts at every game he played in. We let him off his senior year, so they couldn't start the game with a walk, but sometimes they did anyway. Exceptional fielder. He got rid of the ball so quick, so accurate. Could always get the ball before the runner no matter what. Stayed in front of everything. Was phenomenal at pop flies down the line. So really went in on that. Loved running into fences. We used to pitch pitch Corey every once in a while. He would come in and throw submarine. Corey was great at faking throws and forcing guys out and making mistakes. You remember stuff like that? It's like heads up
Sure.
kind of stuff.
Sure.
Yeah. He legit hit hundreds of home runs foul in games. Third base coaches would move. Third baseman would get nervous. Teammates didn't want to be on third when Corey was hitting. We knew Corey wasn't really going to go to college. He was going to get drafted high enough to go. I already told you about the misplaced Stanford letter. That was kind of funny. He was really proud of you being 18th in your high school class academically. Scouts would come to football games to see what kind of athlete you were. The story about your sprained ankle in the draft, we talked about that. Terry Tripp was the scout who signed him. He said he signed you. He liked him. Cardinals and White Sox were heavy on you out of high school. His Double-A team, I'm assuming he's talking about that one team, was unreal. It seemed like it was all big leaguers. One of the best Double-A teams of all time. Corey was hitting home runs in the middle of that lineup. Nowadays, Corey would have been valued differently in the big leagues and probably been in the big leagues. Got to hit against John Rocker, took a monster hack and went a mile high. Let's see. We all really believed Corey was going to get called up instead of Bo Hart. Get him to the big leagues and he'll hit home runs and play D. I truly believe that. But dang, Bo Hart had to go up there and make history. We were laughing about that. I think it was hard for him to walk away from the game, but it was time. Brody had been born, and it's kind of the time. He told me I already told you the story about you sending Jeb Odom into the sidelines a couple times,
right,
and him thinking twice about stepping up to you. He said, Bobby was talking about himself. He said, I did things wrong during my pro career, staying out late, being dumb. I made sure Corey didn't do that. Corey couldn't be more proud to be his father and the father that he's become. And then I got a Bobby clip here. Corey always listened and appreciated.
But Corey did everything, no matter what. No matter what I say, Corey, let's do this and this. And he appreciated everything. He was great about it. And always called all the time in pro ball, called all the time, talked all the time, always sent me letters, thanked me all the time. So
that's cool.
He did good at that. So they're not easy.
Okay. Unless you have anything else to add, I'm going to move on to Sherry.
Sure.
Good to go?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, buddy.
Let's do it.
And we're getting close to like what we kind of said time-wise here. Are we a hard stop at 3:30?
Pretty close.
Okay.
I mean, doesn't have to be.
I got a lot of questions for
right.
you. I think we can knock out the main part. If we have to come back another day and do the Q&A, are you cool with that? Or?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
We can do that.
All right. Or we can get through as many as we can if we get to it. Sherry Erickson, here we go. Corey was all boy, a really good boy. Wait, I already read these. Here we go. Had a passion for football that was fun to watch. Could hit like no one's business. Hit the big stick award for the best hit. One of the few times I ever saw him cry and emotional was after his senior year of football when it ended. In basketball, his ball handling skills were awesome. Real unselfish, was a great defender. Not afraid to bump people around a little bit. If he could get away with it, he could. Not trying to hurt anyone, but very physical. Corey didn't care about shooting or even really want to. He was so fun to watch him bring up the ball and distribute. He would make his opponents miserable in basketball. He couldn't wait to get to games. Would have his uniform laid out on the bed like the day or night before. I think he loved practice as much as he loved games. Never once complained about going to practice. Loved it. His pro career was ups and downs. At times I was a nervous wreck, watching it. Pro ball is moment to moment. You can get cut at any time. Had to call me every few days to tell me his results because that was the time you couldn't see him online. And she remembers, just being like, just anxiously waiting to hear, how'd you do?
Yeah.
The ups and downs were hard on him. Knew his dream was always hanging in the balance. He worried about getting cut at the end of his career. Never missed a game he played. I never missed a game he played until pro ball. Would try to make it to 15 or 20 games this summer if I could during pro ball. Got to see him hit some home runs in pro ball. Quite a few home runs, actually. Corey was a streaky hitter. Hit a lot of home runs when he was going good. Struck out a lot when he wasn't. That was hard for me. I just wanted to run out there and say, give him another shot. That's such a mom comment. I love it. Right. I truly thought he was going to make it to the big leagues. Really hard on him when baseball ended. When his boys finally grew up, I think that healed him in some ways with baseball. He was kind of a duck out of the water for a few years after it ended. He just loved sports so much, and now, what was he going to do? If I'm not a baseball player, what am I? We kind of talked about that a little bit. He has adjusted now, but it took him a while to figure out, where he fits in the world. Thrill of my life watching him win the MVP for the Paducah Storm. He was on another level. Homers, fielding, had it all. I loved watching him turn double plays. It's my favorite play in baseball. He turned a double play like you wouldn't believe. His hero in baseball was Ozzie Smith because he makes all the routine plays. More proud of who he is than his athletic accomplishments. Always treats his sister, Andy, as an equal. Blessed with a wonderful wife. Very wonderful. His motto is happy wife, happy life. And he says, you told her, Mom, I really believe that. If Carlie's happy, I'm happy. They have so much fun together. It seems like, they're like a college couple or something like that. And, he's Corey. He won't make any waves unless necessary. And she talked about herself. She said, my kids are my life. I devoted my life to them. If I made a mistake, I wanted it to be because I was doing something for them, not for myself. She laughed about sending her 15-year-old son to Mexico where she didn't know anyone. The hotel note, laughing about the buckets you had to go to the bathroom in. And then I've got a couple clips here. So let's say, let's go Corey as a father.
Then as far as a father, I don't know how you could ask for a better dad.
Mm-hmm.
He loves those kids so much, and he spends so much time with them. And he doesn't really have the time to coach like summer teams, really, with his job and everything. But he just makes the time because he wants them. His theory is, I want them to know how to do it right.
Yeah.
And I want them to know baseball, as much about baseball as I know about baseball, or as I can teach them about it. Yeah. And he even to the point where he coached both teams in the summertime when they were travel teams, which was tricky. But I mean, he had two other coaches that were the head coaches, but he was actually coaching with them, and he would just go back and forth between the boys, trying to make sure he gave equal time to both of them. And he hits with them all the time.
I love hearing stuff like that. You got anything on that, or?
Yeah, that's basically been been Carlie and I. It's been our lives for about T-ball,
Yeah.
But it's fun, man. There's nothing else I would have rather been doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Whatever sport is in session. Neither of them. I mean, Brody played football a couple years. Crew actually played football a couple years, but that didn't stick with them.
Mm-hmm.
But they both hooped for a while, and always baseball was always there.
Yep. And I got my final Sherry here. So proud of him as a person.
And and one thing I really wanted to, the main thing I wanted to say with you is I am over the moon with him as an athlete. I just thought he was awesome.
Yeah.
But I'm more proud of him as a person.
Oh,
because
that's great.
He is incredible.
Yeah, that's some good stuff.
For all the success he's had, he had all the circumstances to make him be really not that great a person.
Yeah.
And I'm just so proud of him as a person.
Proud mama, my man.
Yeah.
Cool to hear mom talk about you.
No,
like
it
that.
is, man. Mom and dad just and brother.
Yeah, everyone.
All
these people.
They're proud of me. I'm equally as proud as them. I mean, and it's I appreciate you, man, for giving me the opportunity to do this. And these type of things aren't something that my family traditionally walks around saying at family functions.
Right.
You know what I mean?
These aren't things you talk about.
Yeah, it's an opportunity to hear some good things, and everybody likes to be appreciated.
100%.
You know?
100%. Well, moving on to Carlie here
Uh-oh.
before we get out of here. You cool with that?
Yeah.
Cool. So this is obviously your wife. Had a great chat with her the other day. We were laughing about the cruise stuff and him. I guess he's listening to and thinking it's kind of cool. But let's get through a couple of these. Both grew up Northsiders, went to a lot of the same schools together. She said you guys talked about maybe used to chase around the playground like first or second grade.
Yeah, potentially. She actually lived down the street from my grandmother's house.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm sure we bumped into each other. I mean, we used to talk about all the time that we were probably buddies and didn't even know it.
Right. Didn't know that you were meant to be.
That's right.
I love that. Didn't technically really meet until like around high school, and then I've got a funny clip here. I hope you're okay with me playing this. The name of it is Corey Had a Nice Butt.
So he talked about going and his house kind of being the hub in Northgate for kids to congregate and like play basketball and stuff like that. So my girlfriends and I would find ourselves in Northgate, kind of hanging out around his driveway, watching them all play basketball.
Okay.
And the style at the time was not really that cool. They used to wear like their spandex legging pants with like shorts over it or whatnot. But I have to say, inappropriate or not, Corey's butt is amazing. So I was loving the spandex pants and Corey playing basketball and, kind of tearing it up. So yeah, that was probably the beginning.
Carlie, I'm sorry if you're embarrassed by this, but I had to throw it in. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, why not?
So
why not?
Why not?
Hey, first time we kissed was behind the hoop.
Really?
On that basketball hoop.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I remember that one.
I love that. Moving forward, story of this is cool. Kind of like how it really kind of started was she talked about you were out walking along some place, some concrete structure, some tree branch hit her. I guess like under her eye or something, cut her or something, and you volunteered to walk her home. And I remember she was saying like how romantic that was, and kind of like the start of maybe some feelings there a little bit.
Yeah, no, we weren't together in my dad's neighborhood because Carlie lived right down the street from my dad.
Yeah.
But there were, I don't know what they're called, aqueducts.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Aqueducts. Yeah,
sure.
we'll call it that. But
yeah.
we called it wall walking.
Yep, that's what she said.
Yeah, the giant concrete tunnels underneath the street with water streams running through them, and you just run up the wall back and forth. And there's wooded areas back there. Me and Casey and Jamie did it all the time as well. But yeah, she got hit with a branch. I didn't know her at the time. I mean, I knew her.
Yeah.
Obviously, cute girl or whatever. And it was maybe an opportunity that there was the first time we were ever alone, and I walked her home, and we got to talk a little bit. I'm not exactly sure how old we were at the time, but it's something I remember for sure.
That's cool. Used to meet in the middle of our neighborhood and talk. We've really been together since about sophomore year. Hard being away from each other. I would wait, for his phone calls during the season. Interesting seeing each other after 2 to 3 months layoffs for ball. She goes, it was almost like meeting again for the first time in some ways. It was cool because it afforded me your career opportunities to see new places and things. The family was always bringing me along and welcoming. She shared a funny story about one place you guys were at where she was really far away from anything, and her and a bunch of the other girlfriends went to like get some groceries, and they were coming back with a grocery cart, and your bus came by and honking at them and stuff, and she was like embarrassed, and you guys were waving. She talked about a potato sack race where her and Andy did a potato sack race at one of your games, like right in front of your dugout.
Yep. One of those in between inning games.
Yeah,
I don't know if they won or not.
Yep.
She
said she won.
She won.
Yep, she won. So
yeah.
Stories of getting we just told the story about her getting scared and putting a table in front of the door where she was at, stuff like that. He's a great husband. He rarely says no to ideas, although I wish he said no to this house right now because it's just crazy. You guys are working on your house.
Yeah. It's a mess.
He's good at making anything work if he can. He's so selfless and fun to be around. Still in love with him today like I was when I was younger, so that means something. He's an amazing father. The boys come first. We didn't want to pressure our kids. There is certainly weight to having that Erickson last name, and I agree with that. And when we get to our Q&A, I guess some other time we'll address that a little bit. But both boys are kind of quiet, like Corey. Brody is a daredevil. When it comes to his kids, the only time I've ever seen him not calm and cool and collected, which is his normal kind of operating, is if something isn't quite fair for the boys, and that kind of draws something out of him a little bit, and he gets a little upset about that. So that's kind of cool to hear. Can be, as cool and perfect as everyone thinks Corey is, he can be a little stubborn or persistent, if you want to say, whatever you want to call it. People love being around him. He's such a fun guy to be around. And then finally she shared a fun story about maybe you had some sort of like a Nike sponsorship or something like that, or some money to spend through Nike, and she loved it. She got to go up to like some place in Chicago, and you guys were buying all this Nike stuff. She said you had such a big budget, you were having a hard time spending it. And that's cool stuff like that.
When I first signed with my agent, like 2 years in, he scored a deal with Nike, and I mean it wasn't like a monster deal, but I got like $2,500.
Wow.
To go up to Nike Town in Chicago.
Yeah.
And we spent it all. We just bought a bunch of shit for our family.
Yeah, that's what she said. Like you were worried about getting stuff for Casey and Bobby and like everyone you were trying to get stuff for.
Yeah, just want to make sure everybody got something. And it took us forever. I know my agent had to sit there and more or less. I mean, he wasn't following us around, but he was there the whole time waiting on us, and he was probably getting a little bit
annoyed.
Pissed off, that we were taking so long. But
yeah,
I don't know. It was a good time, man.
Cool experience.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, we're back. We are back here. This is going to be kind of partway through part 6. So if you're a little confused, we ended up actually, full transparency, kind of rushing the last hour or so. I know it seems ridiculous to say we were rushing when we've been talking about your career for like 11 hours, but you did have a game to get to go see Crew, and we felt like we kind of rushed some things and we missed some things. We were going back and forth like, we need to add this in and that, and then we were just kind of like, you know what, why don't you just come back and we'll just run through the last kind of hour again of some things and just take it a little easier and whatnot. So where we kind of left off was we were just finishing out on some Carlie stuff. Your wife, your rock. She's seen it all. Been with you since high school, minor leagues, going through life as an adult, as a parent. There was one clip that I wanted to play, and then we can kind of riff off it a little bit. I think it's kind of interesting. So here we go. This is going to be called Carlie. It was hard for Corey. Here we go.
No, I think it was hard for Corey. I think it's still hard for Corey. I don't know. He wanted the dream for himself, but he wanted it for other people. I mean, he really wanted to make money so that he could like buy his mom and dad houses and his brother and sister's cars, and he's not a selfish person at all. He really is selfless, and I mean, I just think that he's just disappointed that he couldn't give other people a lot of things. So
he feels like in ways he feels like he let some of those people down around him by not becoming a big leaguer eventually.
Yeah, and he doesn't want to disappoint. I mean, and I don't know. It's just Corey. He works hard when he does things, whether it's baseball or something else. He's kind of a perfectionist,
So I think that's a pretty powerful clip. And I obviously, my baseball career was not what yours was, but I get, people investing in you, and like your dad and your friends and your parents and all these people believe in you and are like helping you along the way, and you feel like you kind of, in some ways, let them down when you don't get as far as they kind of think. So do you have any thoughts on that clip, or where you?
No, 100%, man. She's exactly right. Obviously, her and I, she knows me better than anybody else, and we've had that conversation many times.
Yeah.
I mean, that was it was, man. It was the biggest disappointment about not playing in the big leagues or getting to the big leagues is, you know, I wanted to make that phone call first off.
Yeah.
You know, to all my family and tell them where I'm going, you know, to the big leagues. And obviously it didn't happen, but the biggest thing is I wanted to buy their house. I wanted to pay their house off.
Yeah.
I want to buy them cars. I
Right.
wanted to give them everything
Right.
because they gave me so much.
Oh, man.
You know?
Yeah.
So that was tough, and you know, it eats me up from time to time.
I do. I still wake up some days and I'm like, man, it just, yeah. I
Yeah.
get it, man.
No,
You know?
exactly, man. If I'd have done things different,
Right.
you know, like
Yeah.
everybody does that.
For
And
sure.
I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is, and dude, Carlie's great. You know, she's never let me down. You know,
Oh, yeah.
and I mean, that's really all I could say about it. She's never
Yeah.
let me down, man,
Yeah.
and she's the best.
Yep.
You know.
I love that. And you could just tell how much love and respect and journey there is between you guys. You know, when I talk to her, when I hear you talk about her, you know, what she went through as a girlfriend to fiance to wife and seeing it all. And, yeah, it's just she's your ride or die, man. Like,
yeah,
she's been there
she
through it all.
is. She is. Perfectly said, man. And she didn't know when her and I first hooked up in high school, she didn't I had to explain all of this to her. What you know, the journey I was on.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, we were 15.
Right.
So she's she lived all of it with
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And is still living it with me.
Yeah, the ups and downs too. And like you went through some tough times in the minor leagues,
Oh,
battling
man.
your stuff, man.
Yeah.
Like her being there for you. I mean, sure, that was tough sometimes.
Man,
Heavy.
she saved me. You know, I actually, we had a conversation a couple of weeks ago, and I told her, I was like, "Do you realize you saved my life?" And she was like, "No. What are you talking about?" And just in all aspects of my life, not just baseball, just everywhere. She saved my life, man.
Yeah.
I mean, she's got me out of some bad situations,
Yeah.
prevented me from some bad situations,
Yeah.
and I'll never forget her for that. But that's for sure.
That's awesome, man. So it sounds, yeah, I love hearing stuff like that. You given the gratitude that Carlie deserves. She's been there for you, and yeah, that's really touching stuff. So I'm glad we've got to, you know, hear from her, hear from how you see it, and like and whatnot. And it's just awesome that you've built this beautiful life too. Like not many high school sweethearts make it, and let alone make it through the journey that is minor league baseball.
Oh,
that is
man.
a perilous place
Dude,
to be.
Baseball wives
Gosh.
are, you know,
Soldiers.
yeah.
I mean, just, wow. I mean, it's a whole different. It's tough to make it. Like I said, I've got a couple friends that are high school sweethearts, and I'm proud of them for making it. But man, her going through minor league baseball with you for 10 years, essentially, and making it out the other end is. She's a warrior of a woman.
100%, man.
Yep.
100%.
So, cool. I hope we've given our respects to Carlie here, and if anything else comes up, we'll give some more shine to Carlie here.
Yeah.
She deserves it all.
She does.
I've gotten some great feedback in the time between the last time that we spoke here, sat down, and have got here. One of the best compliments I've got was from Casey, and he texted me and said, I'm going to paraphrase this essentially, but he was like, man, like you really talk that talk, man. Like you know the game. And, you know, coming from an Erickson, coming from Casey, who is, I think is, you know, one of the baseball dudes in the area. I don't know if I would place him. If there's 5 people in Springfield that know the most about baseball, I'd place Casey up there, you know. And for him to tell that to me was such a huge compliment. So thank you, Casey. I absolutely do love the game. I'm immersed in it. And that really meant a lot to me. And I also heard from Jamie, your sister Jamie, and she said that, you know, she loved it and the family loved it. And just thank you for putting all this time and effort into, you know, doing this for the brothers. And I told her jokingly that I've spent so much time getting to know Ericksons over the past half a year that I'm now an honorary Erickson. I'm going to declare myself an honorary Erickson. I've talked to, you know, I've talked to Sherry, I've talked to Bobby, I've talked to Andy, I've talked to Jamie, I've talked to Casey. Jamie, obviously, and so I feel like I'm getting to know some Ericksons.
Yeah.
Obviously, you and Casey.
Yeah, you are a brother now, man. You are a brother.
All right, so honorary Erickson, I'm declaring it. And so a funny thing, my buddy Timmy Ballin Wallen, I don't know if you know that name, but really good baseball player at Springfield High, Lincoln Land, Tusculum. And it was really kind of a big brother to me, really looked out for me in a mentoring way, listens to these and gives me feedback and whatnot, works at BOS. And I sent this to you the other day that I thought was funny, but he goes, man, especially when during this Corey episode, it makes me think of is an old Chris Farley skit on Saturday Night Live where he's kind of nervous and like really kind of admires his guests. So I'm going to play a little clip here. And now I can't unhear it because I know there are shades of me in this, and like some of my fandom cannot be hidden. So I'm going to play a little clip, and I don't know if you guys see it the way he does, but I think it's pretty hilarious. So here we go, Chris Farley.
Hi, I'm Chris Farley, and this is the Chris Farley Show. And tonight, my host is Jeff Daniels, one of the greatest actors around, I guess. God, I hate doing this part, man. I never know what to say.
Oh, no, you're doing fine, Chris. You're doing good.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Anyway, Mr. Daniels has done The Purple Rose of Cairo, Terms of Endearment, Arachnophobia, and Something Wild, which is an awesome flick.
Oh, thanks. Thank you.
You remember in Something Wild when Melanie Griffith had you handcuffed to the bed? Remember that?
Yeah.
And you had to make that phone call, remember? And you were chained to the thing and you couldn't get away?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
That was awesome.
So now I can't unhear it. Now I'm thinking like, Corey, remember that time when you hit that home run? And that was awesome.
No, you've done a great job, man. This is cool. This is cool, and with everybody, man. I ran into Jason Kanaler the other night, and
at one of the games.
Yeah, just actually at a little house party.
Okay.
Little house party, but yeah, we talked a little bit about it, man. He obviously appreciates what you've done for him and his brother, and the best part, man, is we get to go back and listen to this whenever we want
for the rest of your lives.
And just remember things. Every conversation that you and I have had brings up something else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, mentioned Brian Graham.
Mm-hmm.
Played third base with us at Lanphier. He texted me the other day, and he's like, dude, just love listening to it because it brings back all the memories, things that I haven't thought about for years, man, and that's awesome.
Yeah, it is cool bringing these people back into your lives, and kind of, I hope sounds like it's been sparking some conversations with some old guys.
Yeah,
like, hey, what's up, man? Like, I didn't remember that, or that was a cool story, or it's got to be cool to hear people talk about you like this too. Like, you said like these aren't conversations that you normally had. Like, hey man, what did you think about me in high school? Or like, like,
yeah, you don't get to ask that.
No,
right?
It's a weird question to ask, but I can ask it.
It is.
I could ask it for you, and then it's like, oh, I guess. So did you not have an idea that people had this much respect for you or your career?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I mean, as a player, you're just trying to get to the next level, and I mean, whatever you have to do to get there is what you do. But the relationships that you make along the way, I guess, in a way, kind of, especially in baseball, man, because you go from high school and then you play summer ball with a bunch of different guys, and then just different clubhouses. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Different group of dudes, like every summer, and you tend to forget about some of the good times you had.
Yeah,
and it's nice to bring them back, man.
I love hearing that. Yeah, and like you said, you're gonna have this forever, so you can listen to this when you're 70. You know, your boys can listen to this forever when you're gone someday.
Yeah.
You know? But I'd love, before we go a little further, let's get into kind of life after baseball a little bit. Kind of when it ended for you. I remember, Carlie mentioned that you were kind of lost soul for a little bit, trying to figure some things out once baseball ended. I get that deeply. But I'd love to hear just kind of like what your kind of job progression was and where you're at now, and then a little bit about the family.
Yeah, so when it was over, it wasn't real. I had an off season that I was thinking about communicating with my agent to see if I had options, if anybody wanted me.
Yeah.
Even though I was, I felt like I was done the last 6 weeks, 2 months.
There's still that like 1% of you that's like, maybe I should still play.
Yeah, because it's still there.
Yeah.
It's still there. I was only 27, 28.
Yeah.
So there was definitely opportunity, but yeah, eventually my agent was like, "Look, I can get you a tryout with a couple teams or a spring training invite."
Yeah.
And the more I thought about it, it's like, man, we just had Brody. He's probably 1 at the time.
Yeah.
And let's go to phase 2 of the of our lives. And I felt like I owed that to Carlie too. Not to say that that's why I stopped.
Right.
But
or she didn't force you into that.
No, not at all. But I wanted to give that back to her. For grinding it out with me in the minor leagues. And I want to be there for my kid, for my son.
Yeah.
So
that's a tough life, being away from your kid. And if he's not living with you in the minor leagues, which is tough to have a kid with you in the minor leagues, right? Almost impossible. Or I guess you guys did it kind of for a while.
we did. Yeah, we did for
that's tough,
about
man.
4 months. Yeah. And an infant, at that.
That story about him, Brody crying in the back seat. On the
Oh,
way,
man, all the time.
That's how you get your mind right for a game. Screaming 1-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like peace when I got dropped off.
Need a break. Yeah, so let's keep going with sorry.
Yeah, so anyway, ran into Todd Green.
Yeah.
At the gym in Springfield. His son Gabe was playing, and he was just like, dude, what are you doing now? And he's a big fan of athletes in the area, and so he was instrumental in kind of pushing my my second life, pushing it or getting it together. And he asked me what I wanted to do, and I was like, man, I want to get in construction. I'd like to build my own house. And he hooked me up with a guy named Don Stevens. Actually pulled his phone out and said, here, I'm going to call this guy. He's going to be calling you tomorrow.
That's awesome. I love people who do stuff like that.
And
just help people out.
Yeah, sure as shit, man. Don Stevens called me, and I was working for him on a construction crew for like within a week.
Wow. Yeah.
And so he was with Clark Stevens was the name of the company. It was John B. Clark was a realtor, and Don Stevens was the builder. So they worked together, built a bunch of spec homes on the west side of Springfield. So we got some experience doing that.
Yeah.
Started off basically sweeping houses.
Man. Is that humbling at all? Or you're just like, I got a job.
Yeah, I got a job, man. I was making $11 an hour at 28 years old, and but I was learning, like real life skills.
Yeah.
So, yeah, did that for a few years, and they ended up going under. Clark Stevens. I shouldn't say that, going under. They just weren't making the profits that they needed to stay above water. So they closed their doors, and again, I went back to Todd, and I was like, well, I don't have anything to do now. Do you got any work?
Got any more of them jobs?
Yeah, and he just created a job for me. I became a self-proclaimed property manager.
Yeah.
For the Green Automotive Stores.
That's
and
awesome.
and again, just kind of stuff you learn on your own, like maintenance type deal. And, did that for 5-6 years.
Yeah.
And, all along we had crew. We had crew 2 years after Brody.
Mm-hmm.
And, in this stage of my life, they were about 5-3. So starting to dabble in the T-ball stage,
Right.
Which was exciting. I had a bad taste in my mouth about baseball when I retired, and
you didn't want anything to do with it for a while.
Yeah, I really didn't, man.
Kind of bitter towards it a little bit.
Pretty much.
I get that.
One thing that brought me back, I know. I mean, my kids were gonna do it to me regardless.
Yeah.
See, just the best memories that I have after baseball, and even the best memories of my life, just watching my boys play.
Oh, that's cool.
And it didn't matter what sport,
Yeah.
Just watching them play, and but the sorry, I lost my train of thought there. The once I was done, or once I went to Todd and was like, "Hey, man, I don't know what I'm gonna do now."
Yeah.
He gave me that job with the within the green stores. Did that for 5-6 years, and he brought me an opportunity to invest in another company. It's called Illinois Certified,
mm-hmm.
and it's a test and balance company, more or less an HVAC company.
Mm-hmm.
We commission commercial HVAC equipment, and it's not super sexy. I wouldn't say that, but it's fun. It's a good job. It's honest, and I've got some great employees working for me, and that's what I've been doing for the last 10 years. Other than coaching my kids, that's my.
Now, did you know Todd Green at all before this? Before seeing him at the
gym?
I didn't.
Well, we had I'm sure we had bumped into each other at times, but really, I didn't know him until I was an adult.
Man, he obviously stepped up for you in a big way for not even really knowing you.
Yeah.
Just creating these opportunities for you, wanting to help you because you're Corey Erickson. Pretty cool.
Yeah. No, it was great, man. I owe Todd a lot.
Yeah. Shout out to Todd Green.
Still talk to him from time to time, not as much as I should. But he's he's doing big things, man, down in Florida now, so we don't get the opportunity to get together too much anymore.
Let me hear about Crew and Brody a little bit.
They're the best, man. Brody, I always told Brody growing up, he's my favorite player, and he is my favorite player. And I hope Crew doesn't hear this and think it's a knock at him. Brody didn't he didn't always love the games that he was playing. He just loved to play the games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think Brody ever, he never loved baseball as much as I did, or anyone in my family. I don't believe. Maybe I'm wrong. But some of the things that he could do it was just fun to watch. I mean, he did we were at the gym, and he was a 5th grader, and I was coaching. Frank Kolovic and I were coaching his son Nolan and Brody, and a lot of the same players that were on our baseball team. But we're at the gym, and Brody goes to the rack and finishes a layup, and he circles around and does a round off at the other end of the court. And I mean, that shit gets brought up all the time. But it was smooth. It was a smooth round off, But he did it on a basketball court.
It was just in his heart to do a round off?
Yeah, it must have been time, It must have been time to do a round off. But
sometimes you got to do a round off.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, that's Brody. He just athletically he just does things that not everybody could do.
Yeah.
Cruz same way. What's tough for me to relate with Cruz is he's left-handed.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
swing.
I would have, just like my dad did with me, I would have prepped both of my kids to be middle infielders.
Right.
But you can't do that with a lefty.
Yeah.
However, there were games over the years that got out of hand, and we put Crew at short. So
just because you needed the bleeding to stop, you needed a good athlete out there.
Yeah. No, I mean games out of hand, we were up.
Just like
or down.
Okay.
It didn't matter.
Just for fun.
Didn't matter. Yeah, but Crew. I mean, he wanted to be a righty.
Yeah.
I think.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Casey actually said that. My dad told me about 10 years ago. He's like, man, Casey still thinks Crew is a righty.
Really?
Yeah.
That is just doing everything lefty?
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. So it is kind of funny. It is kind of funny that we have a lefty because there's really, other than my Uncle John, there's not lefties in our family. I don't think so. So I'm not sure where that came from. It was a joke. It was the mailman type deal.
Did Bobby never try to switch hit you guys or anything like that?
No. But looking back, I think Crew, that would have been ideal for Crew.
Could have.
Had I started him, earlier on. I mean, it's never over. I guess you can always switch hit, but
Jason Canay learned how to switch hit as a junior in college.
Yeah, so
and was an All-American.
Yeah.
Ken Caminiti learned to switch hit in college too.
Yeah,
so it's possible.
Yeah,
and if he's got some Erickson genes, he's got some athleticism, and obviously, people talk about him like he's an absolute dude in terms of athletically, and he could kind of write his own ticket if he wants to.
Yeah, he's a big dude. Yeah. He's a big kid.
You say he's a legit 6'3"?
He is.
Man, yeah.
Yeah, he's 6'3". He can really hoop, man. I don't want to throw stones, but I think he got a raw deal his senior year this past winter out at Chatham on a basketball squad. But the kick and hoop, he understands the game.
Mm-hmm.
He's everything Crew does is calculated. It really is. But he is extremely talented, and he's going to be fine whatever he does. Whether he plays baseball next year or not, he's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Him and Brody both.
You sent me a swing. It almost reminds me a little bit of Chase Utley. I see some shades of kind of Chase Utley in there with his swing, but it's unique a little bit, right?
It is.
There's some unique moves in there.
It is. And he was supposed to play at Springfield High tonight, and I was gonna send him a text prior to that game to make sure his barrel stays up.
Yeah.
But game got canceled, so I don't.
Yeah.
I'll beat him up when he comes home from practice.
His barrel is in the zone for a long time.
Yeah.
I know you said that like some people have the optics that maybe he's dragging, but when I see it, it just looks like he enters that zone.
Yeah.
Real early and stays there a long time.
No, you're right, and I don't know how he does it.
Yeah. Some people just have that.
Yeah.
That early bat speed, creating it behind you, deep in the zone. Yeah, it's cool. Like it's not late bat speed. It's bat speed way back here early, and it's whipping.
It is. It's very quick. I mean, power is the game.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
When I say barrel up, that's what I'm trying to incorporate in his swing. If he can keep it in the zone as long as he does now with with the bat kind of laying down, with the barrel up, he's going to get. I hate to even say it, man, because I hate that bullshit about launch angle and fucking exit velo and all that shit. I think it's dumb, but it's accurate. I think he'll get that launch, man, if he gets his barrel up.
I mean, you sent me a video the other day of him hitting, and he hit an Oppo tank, and that's hitting Oppo tanks in high school is something serious. You got to have some real pop to do that. That's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like pro college dude type stuff.
Yeah, man, and that one in particular, it was gone off the bat, dude.
Yeah.
It was a
no
bowl.
doubter Oppo.
Yeah.
Big time power. I got to get out to a game this year and see it.
For sure.
See it live, this is a perfect segue because I wanted to go a little deeper, and my dad was even telling me, he goes, you left some meat on the bone with the hitting philosophy stuff. Get into it a little bit more. So before we wrap up with our Q&A, this will kind of be a Q&A, but I want to go a little deeper into your hitting philosophy and kind of how it evolved, how your swing evolved over time. You know, we talked about all these different hitting coaches, some that you didn't really like, maybe too many voices and whatnot. So let me ask a few questions.
Sure.
You talked about at one point in your career, you really weren't even registering kind of outside pitches, and you really just wanted to yank it. So you were kind of looking middle in. Did you feel like you had coverage of the outside plate?
I think, yeah. It just didn't look good out there. You know, I mean,
I don't want that.
You know, you make a good point. I mean, I'm sure there were times that the one of the coaches or hitting coaches would be like, dude, why don't you just if you want to pull the ball all the time, just get up on the plate.
Right. That's what the DJ said. That they had you guys do a double-A kind of.
Yeah. I mean, I moved around the box.
That's my next question. Where would you normally set up?
I always stood in the back of the box.
Like in the back in relation to the back of the box, but like left to right, where like closer to the plate, further away. Like you had long arms.
Yeah. No, well, it's a good point. I always felt like I had plate coverage.
Yeah. Okay.
Because my arms were pretty long. I was swinging at 34.
Yeah.
Always sat, you know, with my back foot close to the line.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just because I saw a lot off speed, and I felt like I had a better chance of letting it break.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, getting a better swing on it
mm-hmm.
if I saw it longer. When I was younger, I always scooted up in the box.
Right. Because you were so fast?
Well, just because, you know, most of the time the kids were just trying to throw strikes. There weren't purpose pitches back then. And yeah, I had trouble waiting on the ball. I just wanted to hit it.
Mm-hmm. What was going through your head when you were in the box? Like, let's just say in pro ball, let's say like your best year where you felt like you were locked in. Were you thinking things in the box, or were you trying to be thoughtless, or?
Yeah, trying to be thoughtless.
Okay.
I mean, it's
easy to get a cluttered head in there.
You're right, man. I mean, what does Kevin Costner say when he gets in the box? He's
Clear
like,
the mechanism.
That damn girl is in your head. Get her out of your head. And then he steps out of the box. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, not necessarily girls, what I was thinking about at the dish, but yeah, just try and clear your head.
Like hands here, arms here. Like I used to get, man, I had some periods in my career where I would get so in my head of like, all right, my hands need to be here, my elbow, my knees. I want to feel this. Loosen up. Look at this. Like I had like 1,000 things going on, and I was like, well, this bat isn't going to go well.
Right. No, been there for sure. Like my top hand arm, I always wanted it to get down. I would always kind of kick it.
Mm-hmm.
This is later in my career.
Okay.
Yeah, my back arm, my right arm.
Top hand.
Yep, and make sure that again, make sure my barrel was up. You know.
You like that vertical barrel?
I do, and I you know, I mentioned Howie Freiling my second year when I was scuffling, took me out and threw me soft toss on the field, and we hit off a tee, whatever, but he was just like, dude, just hit the top of the ball.
Yeah.
And it worked so well for me at that time that I kept that in my back pocket.
Really, the rest of your career?
Yeah. I mean, when shit starts going bad, just hit the top of the ball.
That's interesting.
You know, because that's how you get your backspin.
Yeah.
You know.
I know there's all kinds of. You just talked about like launch angle and some of this new. There's so much information out there.
Yeah.
Were you thinking all about your bat path at that time, or was that even? I don't remember that even being a concept back then. Really.
Not really, man. Not really. I was in Double-A one time. I can't remember the catcher's name. They had a pretty good catcher for the Phillies. I don't even know where the Phillies Double-A team was, but remember being at a bar a night after a game, and you know, dude tells me, he's like, man, your bat stays in the zone so long. And I'm like, that's great. What does that mean? Understand what you're talking about.
I agree, dude. Go ahead. Sorry, I want to interrupt your thoughts.
But yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense. If your bat is in the zone, you know, for whatever 30 inches, then you have a better chance if it was only in the zone for 20.
Yeah, and you have more adjustability too. Like if you're slightly off timing wise, but you're still on path, then you have a better chance than if you're only in the zone for a short period of time. So
absolutely.
And you just the other day sent me a good video of your pro at bat in AA with the Smokies, and I'm gonna put a clip out. It's awesome. But you are in the zone for a long time. That bat gets kind of flat behind you, and you enter the zone real early, which is kind of a lot of the thinking now. People want you to be in the zone for a long time, which some people can misconstrue it or look at it as dragging the bat, and it can be, but that's not what you were doing. So you were creating. It was powerful. Like there's whip. You can see the bat blurring behind you, and getting into that zone early and finishing slightly up. So yeah, there's a lot of good things in there. I'm such a nerd when it comes to this shit. So sorry,
yeah,
man,
that's the only AB that I have on tape.
Really?
Other than I gave you a couple VHSs of minor leagues.
There is a ton more Corey Erickson stuff coming. I had to actually order a VHS head cleaner because my VHS player's dirty. It wasn't like coming out right. So I've got a ton more stuff that I'm gonna put out, and then I'm gonna put it all on zip drives for your whole family. So I'm gonna be sending that out to the Erickson clan.
You're awesome, dude.
I appreciate
You're
that,
awesome.
buddy.
I like those shoes too.
These are old school Jordans.
Yeah,
Jordan 1s. I'm a big Jordan 1 guy. He's got some Air Force 1s on over here too.
Yeah.
So still styling. Hey, crew.
That's my go-to.
How do you not think your dad's cool, man? He's still got Forces on and chains and come
on.
Loose wise, like were you thinking like be loose with your hands, be loose with your body?
100%, dude. 100%. Perfect statement. Like I would get almost like a golf grip, I mean, I'm a shitty golfer.
Me too.
But I know how you're supposed to grip a golf club.
Yeah.
And that's how I tried to grip, because Roger alluded to that in one of his comments about how I'd wrap, and I we've all been in the box and we're like, man, I gotta get a hit.
Gosh, yeah.
And you couldn't pry your hands off.
Right, there's sawdust coming off your bat.
Oh, no shit, man.
Yeah.
No
you
shit.
don't even realize you're doing it.
No, you don't. You don't. I mean, your bottom hand, to me, as long as my bottom hand could be
a little
firm.
Yeah.
But if your top hand is overpowering your bottom hand, that's not a good thing.
Yeah, troubling. Yeah. Were you obviously hit a ton of jacks and a lot of doubles and stuff. Were you thinking, I want to hit this in the air, or this is just what the outcome of your swing was?
I think my natural swing was kind of to lift.
Yeah. Right.
Was to lift the ball.
Kind of what everyone is trying to do now. Like you just kind of naturally had that.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I was lucky from that aspect. But yeah, just kind of thinking about my swing. Yeah. Definitely. It was definitely the intent was to try and lift the ball in the air and get it as far as you can.
I think I know the answer to this, but did you ever choke up or experiment with that?
Rarely.
Yep.
Rarely. Rarely.
Directional wise, were you thinking, I'm trying to keep the ball between like short and second? Some guys think like I want to hit. They think right field, and that can correct them to kind of open up the whole field, or some guys even think pull, and that kind of opens them up, or some guys think between short and second, and that keeps them directionally in a good place. Where were you with that?
Yeah, I wasn't. I was straight away left all the time, and I mean I really was, man, and that sucks because a lot of the balls that we talked about earlier that went foul, if I would have been if I would have been looking to hit the ball even in the left center gap, not necessarily to center or right center,
give you a little more
left
time.
Center gap. Yeah, just it'll keep my bat truer.
Yeah.
And I just didn't do it, man.
Yeah. were you at all like when things took a better turn for me in indie ball when I understood some philosophy? I started picking a side of the plate. I said like, hey, I'm gonna be aggressive on anything middle away or middle in for these next couple pitches, and that's what I'm attacking. I'm spitting on everything else. Did you ever have anything like that, or were you just like, I'm looking for a fastball strike and I'm gonna?
I mean, that's pretty much. I mean, the approach you just said. I mean, I heard that so many times.
Yeah.
In pro ball that, we're facing whoever tonight. He's throwing 93, 94 with a good curveball and and a decent change.
Mm-hmm.
You got to pick a side of the plate and just spit on the other side.
Yeah.
And I've heard that so many times.
Easier said than done.
Right
in the moment, right?
Yeah, dude. Well, you try and do that, and then you end up waving at a pitch that's a strike that wasn't on your side of the plate.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Interesting. Last thing, kind of vertical barrel. Did you like that? Like it's, at times in my career, I had a vertical barrel too, and I liked that it felt kind of light or like weightless to start with. Is that kind of what you were thinking? Or what was the thought behind?
Yeah,
you just liked how it felt there.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know why. I like that, but you're exactly right. I mean, if it's laying down, it's heavy
then
in
you're
your
feeling
hands,
the weight
man.
of it. Yeah, you're right.
Well, here's something that I always did. I don't know if anyone else did this, but like I would take like a donut, right, or the sleeve that you would have on the on deck circle.
Yeah, and
I would swing like 10 times right before I walked up to the plate.
Yeah.
Not all the time, but I would swing it as hard as I could, and then
get that contrast.
Yeah, once I dropped the donut off the bat, the bat
like a feather.
felt like a feather, dude.
Yeah,
and you got a couple pitches in there where it does. It feels like a feather,
yeah,
man.
You're right. That is an interesting phenomenon, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, most guys on deck are just doing it for show, and got their routines. I mean, to each their own, but I mean, I had a purpose for a donut, you know? I mean,
well said. Were there any drills that you hated?
Drills?
Yeah, they're doing all kind of defunky stuff for you.
Yeah, hitting drills. I used to enjoy.
How about ones you liked?
Like infield drills. Man, I love turning double plays.
I'm talking hitting.
Yeah. No.
Let me ask you this: did you feel like you had so many influences on your swing? Did you ever see the movie Bagger Vance?
Yeah.
With Will Smith.
Yeah.
And Matt Damon. Yeah, he loses his swing, right? And he's like trying to find his authentic swing again.
Yeah.
I think it's a powerful movie, and I have related to that to my own career at times. But did you feel like at times you lost your swing? Like it was just not your authentic swing anymore, and you were just doing things that other people were telling you to do?
Yeah. Number of times.
Yeah.
Number of times. And
but you were still hitting with a lot of power. Always, it seemed like. At least towards like the back half of your career was like you were hitting 20 jacks regardless of where you're at.
Yeah, just streaky, man.
Yeah.
I was streaky.
Yeah.
You're right though. You do lose your swing.
Yeah.
I mean, and you feel it in batting practice. You're like, ain't no fucking way I'm getting a hit tonight.
Right?
Yeah. You can't even. You can't
swear
square one
up. Some
up.
of the best
BP.
games I've ever had were when I had the worst BP, because I would say, well, my mechanics are terrible. I'm just gonna go up there and swing as hard as I can, and not worry about anything. And I swear I hit some of the farthest balls I've ever hit, or like had the best days doing that.
Yeah.
It's a weird phenomenon, right? It's like you just don't care anymore. You're like, whatever.
Yeah. I did that on like day games. Like I hated playing during the day. You get in a routine playing pro baseball where you sleep till noon, get something to eat, and then go to the field, and you're playing 7 o'clock at night, and then whatever after the game. But then you have a day game.
Yeah.
And you're just like, I don't even want to be here, man.
Yeah.
And just not caring.
Yeah.
Helps.
Yeah. You obviously hit a ton of jacks. Can you still close your eyes and like remember what that feels like to do that, to just park one?
Yeah.
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 back to my Chris Farley. That's awesome, man. You remember when you?
Nah, you said it. You said it a couple episodes ago, man. Like when you connect and you got it.
Yeah.
You don't even feel it.
Yeah,
man.
it's like a.
I mean, you could have gone up there without batting gloves.
Yeah.
You know, because if you don't hit one square with wood, and you don't have batting gloves on, it sucks.
Yeah.
But you know, and kids with aluminum bats, you know, if you don't square one up and it's cold outside, but yeah, when you when you drive a ball in the air, and everything works perfect,
Yeah.
you don't feel it, man. And I can close my eyes and picture that
Special moment.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. I think I'm ready to get to the Q&A now.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we sat down and did that. We talked a little more than I thought we were going to, but we got plenty of time here.
Yeah.
Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, we're not going to rush through it again.
I apologize, man. I'm not real good with the hitting philosophy.
No, you were great.
'Cause I didn't.
You were great.
I didn't really have one, and which is which is a problem.
Maybe that was part of the problem.
Yeah, which is a problem.
Yeah.
But
cool,
whatever.
man. Moving on, the Q&A. This is I actually added a few fun ones, and we actually, like I said, we redid this. And one of the cool things about when I do these, I almost have like no recollection of the actual interview until I go back and listen to it. It's like I get kind of lost in the moment. I can't remember what you said or some of these things. And sometimes I'll go back and be like, man, I forgot to ask him about this. And then I listen to it, and I did ask you about it. I'm like, damn. So this is going to be fresh answers for me. So if you're ready, we're going to start Corey Erickson's Q&A.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. In your prime, how many nuggets could you have put down?
I don't know if I tried, man. I feel like I tried the 100 nugget challenge. I bet I could have.
You think you could have done it?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a lot of nuggets,
That's a lot
man.
of nuggets, man. That's a lot of nuggets.
Shit.
What kind of dipping sauce are you using?
I mean, ranch works with everything.
Yeah.
It was probably honey mustard at the time. Barbecue is always in there.
Yep. What is the best pizza place in Springfield?
The best pizza place.
Are you a pizza guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, shit, man. I haven't had a kitchen for like 8 months because we're doing that a remodel our house.
Sounds fun.
So we've had pizza a lot. You know, probably 2 months of those 8 months. We're a Papa John's family.
Mm-hmm.
Nancy's. I like Nancy's like thick.
Yep.
That
Chicago
thick,
style.
Yeah. Be honest, dude. There's not a bad pizza.
Any like North Side specials that you grew up eating? You know, pizza wise, like a.
Vic's.
Yeah. There you go.
You ever ate at Vic's?
Oh yeah. Yep. Absolutely. I'm partial to Joe's Pizza off Jefferson. That's my jam.
Yeah.
I absolutely love Joe's Pizza. That's just something very special about
Yep.
it.
No, I've had Joe's. They got big sausage. Like
Yep.
their sausage pizzas have like big
they
chunks of sausage.
Yep.
I like that.
Go check out Vic's and go check out Joe's.
Yeah.
What are a couple of your favorite bands, music wise?
Bands? Grew up on Smashing Pumpkins.
Uh-huh.
You know, Metallica is almost everybody's favorite.
Yeah.
I'm kind of, I mean, I don't know. I'm a rocker, but I listen to rap probably more than anything.
But you're kind of swaggy too, though. Yeah, it's like I see that you're a rocker, and like someone mentioned that you went to, someone I interviewed said you went to some like almost like an Ozfest type thing, like some kind of a rock festival. It's like some heavy bands at one point, like some Slipknot and stuff like that.
Yeah, probably. Well, one year, I think it was a year I was in Kinston. Me and Carlie and 4 or 5 guys on the team went and saw the Red Hot Chili Peppers opened up.
Oh, that'd be cool.
For Rage Against the Machine.
Oh, man.
And somebody else was there.
Wow.
And you know, luckily, we got a little wild that night and ended up in the pit. The pit kept growing. It was crazy. But there was a dude, his name is Kenny Pumphrey. He was like a 6'6", 6'7" righty that I was playing with at the time. And luckily he was not in the pit, and he pulled Carlie back because she was about to get smashed by the pit.
Gosh,
because it was growing that fast.
For those of you unfamiliar, a pit at those kind of concerts, I mean, can be dangerous. I mean, people get punched, people get trampled, pushed on the floor. I mean, you're kind of just like aggressively jumping around and pushing each other.
Yeah,
essentially.
Yeah. Crowd surfing.
Yeah, but that can be a dangerous place.
Yeah, took Casey to his first concert. I don't know if it was his first concert ever, but we saw System of a Down.
Oh man, that'd be cool.
Yeah, System of a Down and Method Man and Redman opened up for Limp Bizkit, and it was in Peoria on the at the ice rink.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But they had a bunch of plywood on the floor covering the ice, and people were grabbing the sheets of plywood and putting them over their head, and there were girls like dancing on the plywood in the pit, like pulling their shirts up and stuff, and it had to be a special moment for Casey, dude. I mean, I didn't mind it either, but had to be a special moment. He was only about 10.
Casey became a man that day.
Yeah, he did.
It was that day he was done playing with toys.
You know? No, but I'm like I said, I'm probably more into rap now, and you know, Brody keeps me in the loop as far as new.
Okay. So you listen to like some new stuff that's out?
Pretty much.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, Brody will send me. Send me, you know, like YouTube videos of you know, new groups coming out. But I'm like a 21 Savage.
Okay.
I mean, 21's on my playlist most of the time. Shit, I don't know. I mean, all of them.
Yeah, that's cool. What did when I first texted you about this? I remember we already went over it, but you said sure. What were you thinking when I was like, hey, I'm going to start this baseball podcast and talk about this? Did you give any second thought to it? You're like, you know, maybe I'll hear from this guy again, or maybe I won't. Yeah,
that's kind of how it was. I mean, like you said before, my answer was sure.
Yeah.
Right? And actually, Crew said the other day, he's like, dude, you can't answer with the word sure. That's not a real answer.
I agree. Thank you, Crew.
Yeah. No, he filled me in on why it was a bad answer.
Well, it's just,
you know?
You can take it so many different ways.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I don't know. Is he into this or is he not into this?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah, no, what was I thinking at the time? I'm glad I said sure and not no. Let's just say that.
I'm glad you didn't say no as well.
Yeah.
For sure. Especially because I didn't have anything out yet. There was no, hey, let me look at this and be like, what exactly is this? It was just a concept.
Yeah.
That has become a thing.
No, it's been cool, man.
Awesome.
Perfect.
So then you've told me that you've listened to quite a few of these. Outside of listening to Casey, your brother, who's been one of your favorite guests? Or which ones have you enjoyed listening to?
Dude, PJ's was awesome, dude.
Yeah.
That kid is so articulate.
Yeah.
And he knows what he wants to say.
Yeah.
You know, and I admire that, man, because
he was sharp.
Obviously, I can't do that like he does, but he's gonna do great things at Lindenwood. Man.
I agree, man.
I mean,
that guy is.
He's all right.
I would be so honored if my son could play for him. If I, could take, travel back in time, I would love to have played for PJ. Like, man, what an absolute baseball guy, and just a good person, a baseball dude. Yeah, just he's lived a lot of baseball life. Awesome guy.
Yeah.
Yep. Cool. All right. History of the chain, and I asked you this before, but you still wear a chain. I'm sitting here, I'm looking at it. You got a fat chain on. I've always known you to have a fat chain. I remember when I saw you in Walmart, I was like, oh, Corey's still wearing a chain, And I remember I think I saw a picture of Brody and Crew and like their chain guys, and I still rock some chains, and it's like kind of my connection to the game still, but also kind of like I probably started wearing it because Corey Erickson, and like so I'd love to hear kind of the history of the chain and why you.
That's your number 7.
Yeah, or my preferred. I mean, depending on the team I went to.
Yeah.
You don't always get to be 7,
Right.
But
right.
Sometimes I got to be 7, and that's kind of my number that I identify with.
Yeah. Yeah, the history of the chain. I mean, it basically came down to my dad used to wear a gold chain.
Yeah.
Just remember that growing up.
Yeah.
And he never had shirt on, man. So the chain was the chain was
Prominent.
just popping out.
Yeah.
No, he wore just a thick, about like the one you're wearing right now, man.
Yeah.
Just a thick gold chain, a little hair on his chest.
Yeah.
Look cool, man.
Yeah. Bobby out there shirtless,
Yeah.
looking tan.
Yeah.
Looking, yeah. I love that. And then that's cool that your sons have kind of picked that up too. Is that kind of a nod to dad, or is that more the style these days, or?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd like to think that, they got one. I mean, I bought it for them, but they asked for it. So,
who are the 2 greatest hitters of all time?
Gotta be the Babe, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Ohtani, but he's in a little trouble right now. Apparently, I don't.
All this
even know
gambling stuff.
Yeah,
Wow.
I haven't really dug into that. I've gotten some tweets from some people talking.
It seems
about
fishy,
it.
right? There's some.
Yeah. What?
Seems like maybe he was gambling, and I don't know.
Yeah.
And
Whatever.
someone's a
though,
fall
man.
guy.
Yeah. Whatever. No, obviously, he could be the greatest of all time, but. Yeah, Babe Ruth, Roy Hobbs.
Well, I love the Roy Hobbs answer. Now, do you exclude someone like Barry Bonds because of the accusations that have been a part of his?
I don't, man.
Okay.
And we talked about steroids and juicing and all that stuff. I don't have any ill feelings towards any guys who did that.
Yeah.
I mean, it was their choice. In my opinion, made the game better. I mean,
Entertaining.
Yeah, I mean. Everybody likes to see bombs.
Right. And I mean, it really did. It's interesting because it was after the strike, the McGuire-Sosa home run chase kind of brought back baseball.
Yeah, dude.
In ways to people's hearts. And
definitely.
So it's like it was a bad thing and it was a good thing. It was, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how you call it. Greatest fielding shortstop of all time.
The Wizard,
the
man.
The Wizard, yeah. Ozzie.
The Wizard for sure.
Yep. You just grew up watching some Ozzie?
Yep, always.
And then,
always.
What was that story? Did you share? Like you said, you wanted to. At some point, you wanted to hit a bomb at Bush and do a backflip.
Yeah. So that was that. If I had any goal of getting to the big leagues and doing something cool, that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I just remember, probably being 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever, going to Busch Stadium. And I don't know if it was necessarily if Ozzie hit a bomb the inning before or he did something good or he was just fired up, but I saw him, run out on the field and do a backflip a couple times, and I wanted to do that,
Love that.
To for one, because it'd just be fun, but again, show appreciation to one of my heroes.
Yeah.
To do something like that. That was one of the main things that it sucks I never got a chance to do.
Could you ever do a backflip? You ever practice this?
No.
This is a hypothetical skill?
Yeah, it is. It is. I would have figured it out.
Sure
though.
you would have. You're athletic enough to figure that out.
I would have practiced a lot to make that happen.
Who are some of the swings that you really liked watching coming up, or did you try to emulate anyone's swing? Or
man, Ken Griffey.
Yeah.
Ken Griffey. Unfortunately, I wasn't left-handed, but just the sweetest swing ever.
Yeah.
When I was with the Indians, just loved Manny Ramirez's.
That's got to be one of the greatest right-handed swings of all time,
dude.
right? It's
just compact. It's right there. Doesn't look like he cares. He just goes ahead.
It's effortless,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
It's like I remember you talked about at one point if you had 10 swings in a round, you didn't want to feel like you were gassed afterwards.
Yeah.
That kind of ties into this. Manny never looked like he was overexerting, right?
Yeah.
Just effortless bat speed. It's like, man, how did I do that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and you talk about hitting concepts, and I always kind of felt like that. If I took a round of BP and took 10 swings, and I was exhausted after it, it's like, man, you're working too
You're
hard.
doing too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, you know, a lot of the best balls that I hit in my career were with 2 strikes. Even
Right.
though we're trying not to get to 2 strikes, you're
Right.
trying to hit the pitch that you got, you know, previous in the at bat. I just happen to either miss it or hit a foul or something. But you know, you kind of lock in when you get 2 strikes.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. You do.
And you know, when it's going good, you're not defensive. You're still on the offensive.
Yeah.
Because you trust your eyes, you trust your hands, but yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be hard to take
Right.
a round of BP.
Yeah, I agree.
You shouldn't be sweating.
That's an interesting point you just brought up. Were you able to pick up seams out of a pitcher's hands, or could you see grip, like, you know, off to the side slider, you know, the wrist roll of a curve?
Yeah,
I always read about guys doing that. I never could.
I can't. To be honest, I can't ever say that I saw the seams on a baseball.
Right? How do you do
ever?
that? Right?
Unless it was a knuckleball.
There's
or
like
some
stories
shit.
of like Ted Williams. I'm reading the Ted Williams book right now, and like there's all kinds of guys like that claimed they could, you know, instantly see it out of the. I never could. I don't know.
No, I what you said about, you know, the arm slot, the kind of the different wrinkle with the wrist action.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I guess made you aware that it wasn't a fastball.
No, were you picking up kind of where their arm slot or where their hand would be, and just looking at that place?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'd have to get back in the box again to figure that out.
Right.
I mean, you try not to, you know, you try not to stare
right.
at the pitcher or any certain thing, because then you get too focused.
Like locked in.
Right? Yeah. I mean, you almost want to just stare out somewhere else, and then right when he's you know, getting ready to deliver, pick it up.
I used to do this mental exercise that I read in a book where I would stare at the outfield wall beyond the pitcher until a certain point, and then kind of when he started moving, I would switch it to the emblem on his cap, and then right as I knew it was about to time, I would switch it to where I thought his arm slot would be. And I don't know if that makes sense, but it kept me from focusing too long on one area.
Yeah, it does
being
make
locked
sense.
in, you know. That's a dumb question. Is it true if you don't use it, you lose it?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. That applies to about everything in your life, man.
Okay. Dinner with 3 former baseball players, dead or alive. Who we got?
Yeah, Don.
Yep.
Don, Roger, and Bobby.
I love that.
You know, the originators, man. And Doobie's in there as well.
Who?
My dad's grandfather, my grandfather, Doobie.
Okay. In case you can't get a plate?
Yeah. Yeah, you can get in there. I thought you said 3.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
You said
no. You're right.
All right. I think we've kind of. I'm gonna get out there on this one. You've already said it, but just answer it, and then I'll get into my weirdness.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any part of you that still thinks, what if? What if you had a different break? What if there was different timing, this or that?
Yeah, for sure. No, we talked about the organizations that I played for. They were class act, had good players, really interested in developing their minor leagues.
Yeah.
And, you know, unfortunately, the 3 main ones that I played for were probably in a World Series around the time I was in the minor leagues, you know. So the big leagues were stacked. There's no room for guys in the minor leagues to go, and the teams were all the minor league teams were stacked. So that kind of sucked. And it's not really, it's out of my control.
Yeah.
But I think when I got drafted, if the Mets didn't take me on whatever pick it was, around 100, 110 or something, the next pick the Kansas City Royals had.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like shit and they were going to take me. Yeah. So if I'd have got in with the Royals organization, I might have been able to jump.
Clear path.
Yeah.
Who knows?
You know.
Man. So
Maybe.
Here's I'm gonna get weird here. Are you familiar with the multiverse theory about universes? I don't expect you to be familiar. All right, I'm just gonna explain it.
Okay.
I'm weirdo and I'm into space and all kinds of stuff like that. But so the multiverse theory is essentially that there's an infinite number of universes out there, and it's just like it's ever expanding. It's infinite, right? So the theory would be that by probabilities, there's essentially another universe, another Earth, another Corey Erickson doing pretty much the same thing that you're doing right now, and has lived this life and with slight variations here and there. And a part of me thinks like there has to have been a version of Corey Erickson that did make it to the big leagues. You know, that you had a break here, a different timing here, a coach here that something clicked. Is that too weird of a question for me to even ask you? What about that Corey? Did that Corey make it? Is it possible that a Corey in another universe?
Oh, that'd be awesome. So, does that mean you and I are in another universe right now?
It's possible.
Communicating, and it's a totally different story.
It's possible. It's totally possible.
Yeah.
So.
Anything's possible, man.
Anything's possible.
Anything's possible.
Thanks for humoring me there. I think Corey in the other universe made it. Who's the best athlete in the family?
The best athlete in the family. That's a tough question, man. My, when I was growing up, my dad would introduce me to a lot of people because, my dad's a likable guy. He knows everybody.
Right.
Like back in the day, he'd be driving down the street with the windows down and be honking at people, waving like all the time.
Yeah.
I'd be like, God, do you know that guy too?
Yeah.
Who's that guy?
Right.
But, when he would introduce me to people, they would always ask me if I'm going to be as good as my dad. And he would always say, nah, he's going to be better than me.
Love that.
He's going to be better than me. But, and I actually, I carried that along to with my kids as well.
Yeah.
Because my dad said it. But he must have been a
damn good
pretty
athlete.
freaking good athlete.
Yeah.
I mean, I played SRD basketball with him. Used to go watch him play for the Stillman.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe he's the best, man.
That's really cool that you got to play SRD with him. That
Yeah, dude, he was
hanging
still
on. Capable.
Dude, he
was doing that.
He was hanging on.
Wow.
And we were decent.
Yeah.
I mean, he's scoring. He's money from the free throw line. He could still get to the hoop.
And that's a testament to he's known for being like Mr. Fit, right? Like,
oh man,
he ran forever.
That's
and like,
the deal. Yeah.
Like he always would run 5 miles. I can't remember if I already said this or I'm just repeating myself, but I know he had some neuropathy from the cancer stuff, but he's still like he hits the elliptical for 5 miles now.
Yeah.
Like, can't stop that guy.
Yeah.
He's just dedicated to fitness and kind of always has been.
He is, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he can't not do it now.
Yeah, just a part of who he is.
Sure.
Love that. So we're going to go ahead and say Bobby. Bobby's your vote.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'm with that. Yeah, and he played, college. Did he play college basketball too? Or no, he went to Western to play college basketball and baseball, right? That's it.
Don't
and then he
know.
came back to SCI.
Yeah, I don't know if he went there to play basketball or not, but he actually started. Did he start the program at SCI?
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Yep.
started the program, and Roger played for him.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Best things to do on bus trips in the minor leagues.
Cards.
Yeah.
100%. Cocktails.
Yeah.
I mean,
any funny stories that you remember that could be shared off that?
Man.
Or is that stuff that needs to stay on the bus?
Yeah, probably stuff that should stay on the bus.
Yep.
I'm sure there are, man. I wish I'd have racked my brain a little bit before I came in here because I'm sure I got some pretty good ones.
You're good, buddy. What was your favorite sport to play in high school and why? Of the three that you played?
There's nothing like Friday Night Lights, right? I mean, you did it.
Yeah.
And we talked about being a quarterback. You have the ball in your hands. People are. They're going to look at you on every play.
Yep.
But you can feel the crowd as as we got better in high school. There's nothing like it. However, city tournament in basketball is
so special,
unbelievable.
Yeah.
I actually when I listened to the first couple episodes, I thought about some of the experiences that I had in city tournament that I didn't mention. Do you care if I throw a couple out there, dude?
Let's go. We're here, buddy. Please.
Dude, I'll never forget it. The first city tournament I ever played in, I think Andre Williams he and I were playing the front two on a 2-3 zone. But regardless, we're playing Springfield High. They had Shelby Robertson, Tyrone Lee, Julian Gorens. I'm missing a couple guys.
Man.
Yeah,
those are ballers.
Yeah. No, but I just remember the tip. Tip went to them. We fall back in a 2-3, and Julian faked right, split me and Andre, and I could have swore he jumped from the free throw line and smashed us. Or he throws one down in the city tournament. I'm like, wow, this is really what it's like, in high school. Those guys were good for a couple of years right there, but that was an eye opener. Never seen a guy do that on a basketball court that I was on as well. God, I know there's a couple more, man, but
if something comes back to you, we'll circle back to it.
Okay. Yeah, but no, city tournament, it was great. Actually,
atmosphere.
Jeff Walker, he was a freshman. He actually, I think he beat Springfield on a buzzer beater 3, and it kind of ruined their championship run or whatever in city. I remember that was awesome.
He was the guy that you said was probably the best pure shooter you've ever seen. Just could stroke it.
I would say that I've ever played with for sure.
Just pure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just pure shooter. Like he was a lot of us, me for sure, I was shooting set shot threes back then.
Yeah.
He was shooting, 30-inch vertical threes. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
elevating.
it was a legit jumper.
Yeah.
He would pull from anywhere.
Yeah.
And just a smooth stroke, man.
That sounds kind of like ahead of his time a little bit, almost like some Steph Curry type stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most memorable. Let's go through each sport. Do you have a most memorable game from high school in any basketball, football, baseball, anything?
I don't know. Football games, they were all fun.
Yeah.
Nothing really jumps out. Baseball, I don't know. Not really. I was playing. I mean, this wasn't in high school, but I was playing with Powleys, with the Powleys, which was the Lincoln Land.
Right,
Did you play with Powleys?
I played with Rifles, so like
Rifles, kind of same deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was playing with Powleys. I think it was 16, 17, something like that. I was playing with Brett Trumper.
Yeah. Long-time Springfield High pitching coach, and I believe he pitched at Delta State as well. And for years as an adult, shoved around here. Was still a very strong pitcher, right?
Yeah, Ron Regal, Joby Crum, just a lot of coaching guys now. But
Joby's a legend too.
Yeah, I was playing on that team, and I had 2 grand slams in 1 inning. It used to be called Redbird. I think it's something else now. But we played at ISU against another. It was probably a JUCO team or whatever. But I had a couple grand slams in 1 inning.
That's awesome.
So that was memorable. I mean, it was summer baseball, so
right.
Can't say the pitcher was great.
While we're there, you had a 3 home run game in pro ball, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, that was fun.
Man,
that was fun.
3 Jimmies in a game, dude.
Dude,
what's
so
that feel like?
the best part about that is not to say I took the rest of the week off, but if you hit 3 bombs in a game, and I think I had 7 RBIs in that game, and also had a single, so I had 4 hits. I actually got to sleep good that night.
Right,
you
you're
know,
like, man.
because I was probably hitting 200 at the time.
I'm good for a little bit.
Yeah,
a couple
so,
days. I can breathe.
Yeah, that's it, man. That's pro baseball too.
Gosh,
you know,
that is pro
that's
baseball.
I mean, that's at least my life in pro baseball. It was just getting a few hits turned into a relief.
Yeah.
And that's when you start thinking, I don't know if it's going the right direction.
Yeah.
You know.
Now, would your good games versus bad games affect your mood afterwards? Like how you were just going about your daily?
Bad games. Carlie may have an opinion on that. I mean, you know, nobody likes striking out. You know, if you strike out 3 or 4 times in a game, I don't know if I've ever struck out 4 times. I probably have, but
the golden sombrero.
Yeah, three times I've done that.
I've done it a few times myself. It's not a fun day.
It's not.
Nope.
It's not, man. And I mean that it just sucks. And I mean, really, the thing that bothered me the most, probably at the dish, was, you know, not moving a guy over or, you know, runner on third with less than 2 outs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I hate to say it, but I you know, as my career progressed, I knew how important that was, and I knew how, you know, how important it was to get those guys in, right?
Sure.
And I knew how pissed the coach was when you didn't get that guy in, and that kind of shit kind of builds on you.
It does.
When you don't, and I was never very good at it, you know. Like I said, when you're at the dish trying to hit the ball straight away left as far as you can, getting a guy in from third, that's not the approach you're supposed to be taking, you know. So
unless you hit it over the fence.
Yeah, unless, you know, or even hit it deep enough to get him in on a sac fly. But
that's funny.
Yeah, that kind of ate me up.
I feel you. Some of these are I got some Eric Easley questions in here. I asked some of the guys I talked to throw me some questions. Looking back, how fun was it coaching both of your sons in baseball and kind of trying to manage that?
It was awesome. I mean, it was tough.
Yeah, right.
You know, trying to hold a job and you know, and travel all around the Midwest.
Gosh,
sometimes go to, you know, different locations in the same weekend.
Yeah.
You know, to try and help out both kids. You know, I was lucky to have Frank Kolovic with the Springfield Pride.
And Easley helping you.
And Easley with the Cardinals.
Right.
You know, a couple guys I could trust, good friends, know baseball. That made it easier.
Yeah, that's my next part of that question is, this is Easley again. How over-prepared were Eric and Frank managing, coaching, and instructing youth travel baseball teams?
They definitely put a lot of thought into it.
Yeah.
But that's a fun part about coaching travel teams is, you know, when your day's done, you sit in the lobby and, you know, have a few cocktails and talk about pitching strategies and you know, I mean, it's a part of it. That's kind of cool. You know,
sure.
But those guys were definitely prepared. I mean, they were thinking way before the tournament started, you know, what happens if we do this? And this guy, you know, runs out of innings or whatever. I mean, they were both engaged for sure.
Who were a couple of the most impressive athletes you ever were on a field with?
Impressive athletes. Brian Mifflin, my first year. I totally forgot about that dude until I looked up the roster.
Cool.
He was like all world in Vermont. He got drafted the same year I did, and he didn't sign for much, but he was like he was All-American in football, basketball,
Everything.
and baseball, like
Yeah.
everything. Probably ran track.
Yeah.
You know, but I just remember him running over someone at home plate my first year, and I was like, God damn. I mean, like, actually hit this kid, and he rolled like a cartoon to the backstop. Hit him so hard. I mean, just an impressive individual.
Yeah.
And unassuming too.
Really.
And I think he ended up quitting because he had some bills he had to pay for,
Really?
a couple kids at home or whatever. Rick Ankiel.
Yeah, I'm excited about
100%.
Yeah, what a man.
Just all around, man. All around. Remember watching him.
And you got to play with him a little bit when he was trying to make it back as a pitcher, right?
Yeah.
Some.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we used to sit. Well, we didn't sit. We were on the field, but just feeling so bad for the kid when he couldn't throw a strike.
Yeah, that
I mean,
had
he
been hard to
started.
watch.
Yeah, when I first got to the Cardinals organization, he had like 4 or 5 starts and didn't get out of the first. A couple of the games he didn't even record an out.
Yeah.
I mean, he would throw, 12, 16, 20 straight balls, and they pull him out, and it's like, man, this guy was on TV like 2 years ago.
Yeah. Right.
But it just shows how amazing of an athlete he is.
Unreal.
To first off get through all that.
Yeah.
And get his arm back, and then eventually become a position player and do
pretty well,
good things again.
Yeah. To make it all the way back, to start over as a hitter and make it all the way back to the big leagues, and then have a couple years where he hit 30 plus jacks.
Yeah.
He made a couple more million in the big leagues.
Yeah.
As an outfielder for a while, and had some of the most impressive outfield throws of all time. I mean, there's a highlight reel of him throwing impossible lasers from center field. Like, I can't wrap my head around some of those throws. Like,
no.
How you do that? And just that he was able to still love the game and come back. It's just, I mean, now we're seeing Ohtani do it, which is incredible. But I still think the Rick Ankiel story is one of the most incredible ones that in baseball ever. It's just,
sure.
Man, how do you do that as an athlete? It's just, man. I mean, was he hitting a lot when you were playing with him? Or taking BP and stuff? Or just focusing on pitching?
He would. I mean, we were in Double-A, so when we played, when we played National League teams, he had to hit. So he would take BP and stuff, but if he never made it out of the first, so he didn't get to hit.
Right. This is an interesting question. So you played in an era of the CS8 that was really strong, like tons of pros, D1 guys, college guys, and then but you've also in the last 4 or 5 years have watched some high school baseball. I never want to be one of those old guys that was like, my era was the best. Now guys suck. But how would you compare your era to what you see now? You feel like it was just an extra strong pocket, time period of baseball in the CS8?
I felt like it was good, but I was a young kid and hadn't seen what I've seen now.
Yeah.
I do think it's good. Travel baseball has kind of screwed things up because there's a lot of potentially good players, good baseball players that kind of never were because they didn't make the right travel ball team.
Oh yeah.
Or or they kind of got screwed by their travel ball coach.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens. I know coaches don't do it on purpose, but kids kind of get pushed out, and that sucks, man. Could you imagine, being 9, 10 years old and you didn't make the travel team that you wanted to play for, and just be like,
I guess baseball's over.
Piss on it.
Yeah, I guess baseball's done.
Yeah, I suck. I'm out. And the kid could have been a great player.
I think this perfect. Sorry to interrupt you. Don't forget the Knadler brothers, and there are guys like that never played travel ball at all growing up and didn't, they didn't really hit their growth spurt or come into their athleticism until really early college, late high school. So like if you don't make that 10-year-old traveling team, it's not over.
Yeah.
You know?
Nah, not by a long shot, dude. And, yeah, and it's at the same time, like, kids playing travel ball play so many games every summer that, you know, they might get to a point where I don't want to do this the rest
Burnt
of my
out.
life, play
Right.
fucking 100 games every summer.
Right? Yeah, I want to enjoy myself.
Yeah, I want to be a kid, man. And so it's kind of it's a double-edged sword.
It really is, man. It's tough.
Yeah. No, but I've never looked at I do feel like baseball was very good back then.
Yeah.
I guess a point that I was making is not everybody plays baseball like they used to.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't, you know, in high school there's not a lot of kids to choose from at every high school like there used to be.
Yeah.
So, you know, teams aren't, you know, you may have 2 or 3 kids that are, you know, very good players.
Yeah.
And then there may be a little bit of a drop off where it used to be all the kids played every year and the summer, you know, everyone in your starting lineup and everybody on the team, and it's just not realistic anymore. And it sucks.
I'm going to ask you this question again.
Uh-oh.
Because I already asked, but it's funny. We asked it earlier, but I'm just going to keep going through the line. You being the number one quarterback, shortstop, combo athlete from your era, who would have been number 2? His first and last name start with the letter E.
Well, that's got to be Eric Easley.
Eric.
Right? Yeah.
Eric Easley.
Starts with an E.
Man, here we go. You said that you had some thoughts on this. How proud of you how proud of you of Casey and what he's done in the game and where he's at now?
Yeah, you know, always been proud of Casey. Like I said before, I didn't get a lot of time to watch him grow up.
Yeah.
And you know, in infield, you know, didn't see him pitch a lot growing up. Saw him throw a little bit in the minors. I mean, obviously his numbers speak for himself.
Yeah.
You know, so hopefully he's proud of that, and I think in his podcast he is proud of what he's done. But I do feel like he kind of got shafted, man.
100%.
He got cut short, and I saw that happen to so many guys.
Yeah.
You know, that were good and didn't get really a fair shake.
Yeah, it's a travesty that he, you know, put the numbers that he put up and never really progressed. Just got put on ice.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
pretty much. It's all as you mentioned before. There's a lot of timing involved.
So much.
But you know, the best part about Casey is, you know, I'm proud of him as a father, man. He's really good with his kids.
Yeah.
You know, him and Ashley, you know, get along great. They're doing great things with their kids, but I mean, Casey, you know, there's a lot of minor leaguers that took it on the chin, and you know, may or may not have gotten cheated, and they just cashed their chips in, and but he didn't do that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he loves the game.
Yeah.
He's, you know, he took over a program out in Chatham that
what a storied program. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. So he's doing. I'm proud of him, man. He's doing what he's supposed to do.
Yeah,
and he's doing it right.
So cool, and I love that he's out there at Chatham now. There's no one else that could do that could take over that job. And it's was it Easley telling me the other day that they're jokingly going to change the name from the Chatham Titans to like the Chatham Descendants or something like that, because there's so many, you know, next generation baseball players that are out there, like, you know, sons of baseball dudes from the area. Like, he's got a problem out there. He's got too much talent almost. Like, how do you get that many guys on the field?
Hey, it is tough. It is tough out there, man. They have a good squad this year.
Yep.
Yeah, and unfortunately, there's guys that may not be starting every game or getting ABs that they should. Right. And they probably could be doing that anywhere else in the conference. Yeah.
That's tough. That's baseball, right?
Yeah.
Phew.
Yeah.
This was interesting. A lot of my guests have been Northeast, like North End guys. Is there anything to that, growing up on the North End?
Just toughness, man.
Yeah.
Just toughness.
Yeah, toughness.
Yeah.
We'll go toughness.
We'll just go with toughness.
It's gritty. It's a gritty, little grittier. Did you try to ever emulate anyone's swing, either coming up or even when you were in the minor leagues?
Not really.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably mess around in BP or something, but not really.
Okay. From what I think I know, the Erickson number of choice is number 19. Where did that come from?
Roger, when he was with the Twins, he was 19.
Yeah.
And I think I picked that up at some point.
Yep.
In my life, and I love that number, man.
Yep. And then Casey did as well.
Yeah.
Yep. And then I know I've seen pictures. I think I've seen Tripp wear 19. I know I've been on one of you guys' Facebook pages and seen like pictures of some kids and like, oh, there's some more 19 Ericksons running around.
Yeah.
It's a family
number. 19 and 25. I have a baseball jersey. It's put away right now, but my dad had wore number 25.
Okay.
When he was with the Cardinals.
Yeah.
And so if I had a choice, I always picked 19. If 19 was taken, I would take 25.
Yeah.
If that was taken, I just, took whatever.
Yeah.
But
do you have anything displayed in your house, like an old jersey or anything like that, or shadow boxes? Or
I don't, man.
No.
I mean, at some point, I'd like to put up something.
Yeah. Batting gloves of choice. What did you prefer? What'd you like?
Just your standard Franklins.
Yeah, classic Franklins.
Yeah, when I first signed, they gave me a pair of Newmans, and they were like big beefy gloves.
Thick boys, yeah.
Yeah, and I had never wore batting gloves before,
Yeah.
not even I don't even think in batting practice, and yeah, they got so wet so fast being down in Florida, but my hands didn't hurt, so they were awesome.
Weird question. Did you ever try the Dominican trick?
What's that?
Peeing on your hands.
No. No. We used to spit in a turtle, though. Yeah, a rain turtle. Like if we were praying for a rain out.
Really?
Yeah, somebody'd draw a turtle in the dirt around the dugout or warning track or something, and then everyone on the team had to go by and spit in it.
Yeah.
Try and get that rain.
How many pairs of BGs do you think you would go through in a minor league season?
It's a good question.
Any idea?
Well, you
Would you have like gamers and backups?
Yeah,
like BP
I was just about to say it. Like I probably had a pair that I used in BP.
I did.
And then you got a game pair.
Right. You didn't want to get those sweaty. Right?
Yeah, I mean if they're hot, then you're gonna ride them as long as they can.
Yeah, for sure. Did you care about the color of them, or was that just more the team you were on?
Team I was on. Yeah. Usually white with and whatever color your team was the trim.
Yeah, I was a big all-white Franklin guy. I don't know why. I just love those, the all-white Franks. I think McGuire used to go all-white Franks, and I don't know. I wasn't even a big McGuire fan, but I just thought those were dope. So
yeah. Anyway. Did you when you stole bases or when you ran the bases, did you put your gloves in your back pocket, or did you hold them in your hands?
I didn't want to tear them up, and I was a head first slider too, so I would go get on my hands. What about you?
I kind of went back and forth.
Yeah.
I used to put them in my back pocket, but somebody made a comment, I think, at some point, probably halfway through my career. I might have saw it on SportsCenter where they were showing it. It might have been Craig Biggio put his batting gloves in his, between his thumbs and his index finger. So when he slid in, he didn't jam his finger.
Interesting.
And I think it started doing that. But shit, if I had white ones, that's just a recipe to dirty them up, man.
Yeah.
So you don't want to do that.
I think I didn't want to tear them up, but then I also I know this sounds ridiculous, but I kind of liked them as I was running, kind of like flapping, like the idea of them kind of flapping in the wind behind me, like like a little cape.
Yeah.
I'm gonna regret saying that. All right. Glove of choice, glove brand.
Rawlings, Wilson.
Didn't really care.
Not really, man. I just used real small. It was like 11 or maybe 10 3/4.
Wow.
If they make them that small, I know I always had one of the smaller gloves on the team. Really.
You said you liked it to feel like it was a part of your hand.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 100%. And I was never a batting glove underneath the glove.
It ruins the feel.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, exactly.
Like a disconnect.
Yeah.
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 What about pointer finger, in or out?
Out.
Out.
Yep.
What about the web design, like basket, I, H? Was there a particular webbing that you liked?
Not necessarily. It wasn't closed though. I mean, it's like you said, an I or an H probably.
Okay. Pre-game hitting stuff. What would outside of the typical, when you're on the field doing like your get them over, get them in, all that, 8 stuff.
Yeah.
Were there other drills that you felt like got you right before the game that you like to do?
I took a lot of swings on my own, just hitting the top of the ball, like off a tee.
So you like tee work? You found tee work valuable?
Yeah. I mean, usually when I was doing it by myself, it was probably after a session of an hour of hitting with some guy like telling me to do shit.
Yeah.
Something uncomfortable, So I would kind of use that to get myself back on track. But I mean, honestly, dude, if you put a tee, about waist, or put a ball on a tee about waist high in the middle of the plate, you can stand wherever you want. But just back spinning balls, just picture yourself in a cage with about 60 feet in a batter's eye, just trying to pepper balls off that batter's eye in the back of the cage. You can't help but fix your swing doing that.
Like that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's about as true as it gets.
I love that. I think I remember you said last time that from the questions that we cut. I'm remembering some of it now. You said in your BPs that you wanted to at least park one, so you had that feel for it, right?
Yeah. So just a reminder, make sure I knew I could do it.
Like it had gone away.
Yeah. Hopefully I didn't forget from last night.
From yesterday.
Yeah. No, I did.
That's funny.
I did.
I love that. Let's go best couple baseball movies, or one, two, whatever you want to.
8 Men Out, dude.
Yeah.
8 Men Out, like.
What a great choice. No one else has chosen.
Yeah,
that.
Lost Treasure.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I picked that is because I've listened to all the podcasts and nobody mentioned it.
Nobody else.
It really is, man. It really is a cool movie.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, there's a lot of dynamics to it.
Yeah.
Obviously, The Natural. Yeah. I wanted to be Roy Hobbs, and my last year playing, I was actually number 9.
Classic.
Because of Roy Hobbs, but
that movie gives me chills.
Yeah.
Just that classic orchestra, that music and hitting it off the clock, and just a great story. And he even Robert Redford swings a pretty good. He's got a pretty good swing.
Yeah. Not bad.
Yeah, not bad.
Not bad.
Even in 8 Men Out, there's some decent baseball movements. Like, I'm always critical of the movements of those guys
me too.
and the actors.
Me too. You're like, come on, man.
Like John Goodman in The Babe was awful. Like, it was the worst swing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Terrible. But there's been some guys like Kevin Costner can throw. Charlie Sheen can throw pretty well. Got a nice movement on him.
You know who was good? Remember Mark Harmon?
Oh yeah,
Mark Harmon. I think he went to USC or something. He played baseball
Actually
at USC.
Played college baseball.
Yeah.
So he had the chops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got some skill. Did you know the Natural was based on the 7 deadly sins?
I didn't know that.
Did you know that?
I did not. Really?
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
I mean, that
makes
might
sense
have been
now that I think about
something
some of
made
those.
up, but I mean, if you think about like every character, not every character, obviously there's more than 7 characters in the movie, but there was 7 7 of the characters in the movie were represented.
Yeah.
One of the 7 deadly sins.
Oh, that's fascinating. Yeah. Man, The Natural. What a great movie. Man, I love it. Worst baseball movie. You got one that you think not so great?
They're all good. You've made reference to the one where Freddie
Catch.
Prinze.
Summer Catch sucks. I'll say it.
Yeah. I mean, the girl's gonna be there after the game, right?
Jessica Biel, what are you doing? Yeah, come on now, Freddie. You leaving a no-hitter in the middle of a Cape Cod game, dude?
Yeah. No, it's a bad move.
You don't got it either, buddy. You don't got the chops.
Yeah.
I think you already said it, but let's just a couple of your favorite players growing up. You already said Ozzy is, I believe, but anyone else? That you really
favorite players, man. Again, I wanted to be my dad. You know.
Yeah. Bobby.
The way people talked about him and the things that I saw him do playing for the Stillman.
Yeah.
And watching him play basketball and stuff. I wanted to be my dad, so he was another hero. Once I got into high school, Brian McClure.
Yeah.
I just remember. I say this all the time, but I don't think I ever saw him making out.
Really.
And all I saw him do was just pepper balls off the wall.
Yeah.
Like I can see him. I picture him right now. Just just a compact swing, poke, just hitting the ball left center gap off the wall, right center gap off the wall. And really cool dude, man. I ran into him in the minors. He was playing with the Tigers, and his fiance or wife at the time, and a bunch of guys on the team. Like we all went out. He took me bowling. I was on the road.
Oh, cool.
And got to hang out with him for a little bit. But even then, he was raking.
Yeah.
I don't know what his batting average was
Legends about
in
that
the
guy.
minors, but it's got to be around 280 plus.
Yeah, dude could hit.
Just
could hit. It's one of those dudes, right?
Yeah, he just hit.
Born to hit.
Yeah.
Love that. I think you already said that your favorite team coming up was the Cardinals. Did you root for anybody else?
Not really.
Do you root for anyone now?
I just like players.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't really a student of the game.
Right. You said you like playing it.
Really any game. I mean, Cardinals for sure.
I mean, do you ever find yourself watching baseball games now, or is it just not that interesting to you?
No, I watch it more now than I ever did before.
Right.
But because now I know it's actually fun to kind of put yourself at the dish while the guy's hitting,
thinking along with it.
The situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I mean that's something that all these kids in high school they will learn if they progress.
Yeah.
But I mean I'm sure my approach to watching a baseball game is far different from some people.
Right.
And you're a student of the game, so I'm sure you do the same thing. But just putting yourself in the situation of the hitter, or I used to love when the ball comes off the bat and you're in the field,
mm-hmm.
just going to where you're supposed to be. That was the best part about playing shortstop is every situation's different.
Right.
Whereas when I played third, it's not different. You're the cutoff man or you're standing on the bag. That's all. You know what I mean?
Right. For sure.
So that is something that makes baseball fun to watch for me nowadays.
I love that. You mentioned at one point, a year or two after your career ended, that you thought about a comeback. How serious were you? Did you make any calls? Did you start training, or was it just kind of like a fleeting thought?
Yeah, it was just a thought.
Okay.
It was just a thought, man. I still felt good.
Right.
Still
still
felt
been
good.
28 or so, like.
Yeah, I
your
mean,
prime.
you take a year off, and your body like kind of catches back up, and you're like,
good.
shit.
Yeah.
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 All I got to do is use the whole field this time around.
That's
Yeah.
That's perfect. Next question. So, and I really appreciate how open you were about some of kind of like the wild man stuff and risk taking you used to do when you were younger, and some of those stories people talked about. Do you ever get, you said you're a 47-year-old man now. Do you ever get an itch to do anything like that again? Just like something on the edge, or like feel like that, or
I don't know.
Is that a weird question? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Did you get it out of your system?
I mean, not really. Some of the dumb shit I did back in the day, my body could take it, and I don't know if my body could take it nowadays,
right?
Man. Like, I quit playing basketball a few years ago because I pulled a calf muscle, and like it didn't heal for like a year. Like, I'd feel it every time I got out of bed in the morning, and
aging is a weird thing, man.
Yeah, dude,
Weird.
and you get old, and your family's counting on you to bring home some bacon.
Yeah.
And if you're hurt,
right,
you
right.
know. So I guess I grew up a little bit, man. I'm trying to be smarter about things.
I love that. This is one of my favorite things. We've already kind of talked about it, but I just want a little more. Your favorite bat model, from what I think I know, we talked about it, was you settled on the C241, right?
271.
Sorry, C271.
Yep.
Right, C271, and that's the Griffey model. That's the model that A-Rod used. It's got, it's got a taper on the handle, kind of thin, until you get to the very end, and there's a little head on it, right? So why did you end up choosing that bat? And then let's go a little bit more. Like, did you Moda stick it? Pine tar it, tape it, any of that stuff?
Yeah, no, it was it was balanced, and it was lighter. I mean, some of the models that were offered to us, like the M110 and the 243, just had huge heads on them.
Yeah.
And which, I mean, if you're confident and you feel strong, you want a bigger head.
Right.
Bigger head, more damage.
Right.
Type deal, but I really like the balance feel, the 271, and shit, Griffey used it, so everybody should.
And then I think back to my story, when I saw you at Roger and the bat that was all splintered and drilled up. Were you the one fixing those or putting those back together? Or?
Dude, he must have put screws in them.
He must have been doctoring them a little bit.
I think he had he had a handful of bats in there that were doctored up, so.
Just grabbed one?
Yeah.
I love that story.
I mean, I had some too. I'm sure I doctored my own as well, but shit, pine tar. Never really taped. Remember Griffey taped his
crisscross.
Bat? Yeah, with the crisscross. I did that for my kids. When they were growing up.
Yeah.
Because I remember that, but I never really did it. I actually used to, when I first started playing, I named my bats.
Oh, here we go.
Like bands.
Yeah.
Or names of songs by bands.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you prefer like a black finish versus a natural finish, or different colors?
Yeah, the black finish is cooler.
Yeah.
Right.
And I remember we talked about it already. Like you preferred, or the old thinking was, fatter grains, fewer grains was the better wood. But you said it was heavier. It was denser.
Exactly. Yeah. What I was told when I first came in was, any bat with less than 11 grains.
11. That's the magic number.
Was strong. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Was a hard bat.
Yeah.
You're looking for knots on the sweet spot.
Yeah.
However, the less the grains were, the heavier the bat felt to me.
Right.
Anyway, so I didn't mind. The
more grains.
Freaking 20 grains.
Right. Yeah.
And straight too. Like the grains need to be straight.
Right.
I don't know how much truth there is to that. That's just what I was told.
Yeah. Awesome. And then do you remember any models of metal bats that you used back in high school or anything like that?
I used the C-Core.
C-Core. And someone told me that was actually someone called you that, like as a nickname.
Yeah.
I used to call you C-Core.
Yeah. I know Springer used to call me C-Core all the time.
Yeah, those things.
He probably would today if I ran into him.
C-Core. Yeah. Remember those. That was cracked.
I think we probably went to Black Sporting Goods when I was a freshman in high
Blacks.
school.
Yeah, buddy.
And my dad got me the C Corps because my name is Corey, probably, and we're
Love
like,
that.
hey, let's try this out.
Black Sporting Goods used to be like a small place here in town that like had kind of high-end baseball stuff. Like they had nice cleats and like nice bats and gloves and stuff. Like it wasn't Walmart gloves, or that kind of stuff. Yeah, I remember going to Blacks every spring. Best baseball video game ever.
RBI all day, right?
Have you ever played any with your sons? Do they ever get into like MLB The Show or anything like that?
Yeah. Brody's more of a like a shooting. Yeah. He plays Rocket League a lot. Crew, he's into NBA 2K and MLB 2K. So.
What were some of your intro musics? Do you remember any of those? Batting.
Man,
music?
I know I had some cool ones, but not that cool looking back. It was more rock stuff.
You're a rocker.
Yeah, it was more rock stuff, and you can imagine the people in the stands like, "Come on, man, this is stupid."
All right, I've got a dumb follow-up.
Everybody likes a good beat, though.
I've got a dumb follow-up question. If every time you walked in a room somewhere or just to a new place and intro music played or a song played, what would you choose?
Oh, so every time.
Just like in life. Like you walk into a room, like Corey Erickson's here, like some little 15 seconds of a song is going to play. I know it's a weird question.
Man, there's so many songs going through my brain right now. I don't know. What's yours, man?
I don't even have one. I was just thinking about that. I was like, what the hell would I even do? I would have to think about it. That's just a goofy question. I can circle back to that.
There was a cool movie. Man, I'm going to freaking botch this. You remember a movie called Hurricane with Denzel Washington where he gets locked up? Yeah. There was a song written about that.
The Bob Dylan song?
Yeah.
That's it?
Well,
here comes the story of
no,
the hurricane.
But when you ask that question, man, there's a movie. Shit, I knew I was gonna freeze up here, but there's a movie where they walk into a pool hall. Shit, give me a few minutes, man.
We'll come back to it.
Yeah, we'll skip back to it because the movie's great, but it's Matthew McConaughey walking into a pool hall.
I should know this. I'm a big McConaughey fan.
Yeah, dude.
Dang it.
God. Dang it.
Pool hall. Well, I'm sure someone is going to hear this.
Well, it was back in the 70s, too, Man,
it's driving me nuts.
I keep wanting to say Half-Baked, but it's not Half-Baked. It was, it was a movie about, smoking weed in the 70s.
It's like a stoner movie?
Yeah.
He had a movie called Surfer Dude. That was a real stunt. Yeah. Like, nobody's really seen that one.
Yeah, I can't believe I can't think of the movie.
Okay.
Anyway, whatever.
Any funny or good memories from like the Erickson baseball school days when Roger had his places?
Just Roger throwing BP, man.
Yeah, Roger.
It's still keeping his arm in shape.
Yep.
And, he did that. To be able to throw to me.
Yeah.
Which was cool, man.
Not that long ago, I was digitizing my parents' old home videos, and we used to tape some of the Roger stuff. Like, it would come on the public access, Channel 4,
Yeah.
And there's there's Casey's in there running around and stuff, and Roger's, he's got his little mic pack on, and he's demonstrating. And still, his pitching stuff was so simple and so good. It was like, if you remember that, it was if you can count, you can pitch, and it was 1, 2, 3. It was like step to the side, knee up, drop your arm. You're in a position to throw, and it was just good. It was good stuff.
Yeah. Well, the best shit is simple.
Yeah. For sure.
Especially for young kids, man. I just feel bad for kids nowadays, man. Life is too hard all around, not just baseball.
They've got a lot more stuff to worry about than you did, than I did. Like, there's just so much more pressure, and I'm so glad I did not grow up in the social media age. I'm so glad. Gosh. Fuck. Man, like.
Yeah, just in the short time that I've known you, you and I would have both been in trouble, dude.
Oh my gosh.
In the social media age.
I'm lucky. I was such an idiot. Okay. Here we go. This is a good one. Do you feel did you feel pressure to be successful in baseball because of your family name? And then the second part is, do you feel like your kids have? Do you feel like Casey's kids have? Do you feel like other Ericksons have? There is a weight to the Erickson name. You know, it's deeply associated with baseball, but there's also like is there a Jake that's a really good golfer too,
yeah, Jake, my dad's cousin Mark.
There's all kinds of Ericksons that are just good at sports.
Yeah,
but yeah,
Jake played baseball at SHG. He's a scratch golfer, dude.
Yeah.
I think he's won the Drysdale a couple times.
Right, he's like known
man.
as the golfer kind of in town
man,
now.
And he's just awesome. He's a freaking awesome kid, which is the best part about him. But yeah, I don't know, man. I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel like any pressure because I always wanted to do it.
Right, you loved it.
Yeah, I mean, I knew I was going to be a pro baseball player, all along.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
I mean, and if I wasn't, then I would have realized at that moment.
Yeah,
but it was always, I always felt like it was a reality to me. You know, the thing is, as I mentioned before, there was a bad taste in my mouth when I left baseball,
mm-hmm.
and that's when my kids started growing up. So, you know, I kind of had that feeling in my brain that I don't want to force this on these two.
Yeah,
you know,
I remember reading that.
Yeah, so I hope they didn't.
Yeah,
I mean, chances are it'd be hard not. You know, not to feel that pressure
mm-hmm.
For those two, but you know, if they have felt that pressure, they've handled it pretty well.
Yeah, well said, well said. I think you already answered this earlier, but was there any ever part of you that wished that you had gone on to play college baseball or gone a different path there?
Not necessarily college baseball, college football.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would have loved to go to Kentucky, cause shit, man. I mean, Kentucky basketball is, I mean, a storied program.
Yeah.
So, I mean, whether I could have pulled it off or not, playing baseball and football in college. Being at Kentucky would have been fun, man. I could have gone and watched some Fools hoop too.
That would have been awesome. Best teammate that was like a pick you up guy. You know, like if you were feeling down, pick you up. Like, hey, you know, I got you.
Yeah, I'd say all of them, man. Joe Schroeder, who spoke early on,
mm-hmm.
You know, he was one that he'd always fuck with me, and you know, we played football together for forever, and I mean, really all of them, man. Anyone who spoke on my behalf,
mm-hmm.
and there's plenty more out there. They were really good friends to me.
Yeah,
you know,
you could tell that.
So they would have all been on my side, you know. And I don't think I ever got so pissed that people felt like they had to like calm me down,
right.
or you know, I was so sad about what I was doing that they had to pick me up.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong. If either one of those, it was because I was probably, you know, feeling like shit because I just sucked.
You know what? Maybe this reminds me of, like you said, you know, a few coaches you didn't feel like particularly like you maybe a little bit, or didn't always see eye to eye, and like that's so interesting that you were just a quiet guy, and that they probably took that as like you didn't care at times, or that you weren't trying, and like, but that's just kind of the nature of who you are. So that was just a miscommunication.
No, that's unfortunate, man.
Yeah.
And I've kind of seen it with Crew. So I feel bad for him if that really is the case.
Right, because you've been through it too.
Yeah, because he's not that kid, and I wasn't that kid either, man. It was just, you know, I think I was more or less, I was probably just being hard on myself.
Yeah.
And, you know, what's funny, this is kind of off subject, but when I go to, and hopefully anyone who listens to this doesn't take it the wrong way, but when you go to a girls' volleyball game, right? Especially when they're younger, they'll make a mistake, and they'll smile, they'll laugh, and or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always like, man, you just fucked up.
Right.
Like, what are you smiling for?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I realize that's just kind of that's the game.
Yeah.
That's a game. But I didn't want anyone thinking that I was happy about not playing well.
Oh, that makes sense.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I would never make a mistake and give anyone the impression that I was happy about it.
Interesting.
Yeah. And again, I'm a lifetime 225, 230 hitter in the minors, so there were stints of success.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I was fighting my way back.
Yeah.
To
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I get that.
I wasn't gonna sit around and be happy
like,
about
life
how
is
it's
great.
going.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to be like life is great when you're hitting 220.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like
it's
what's
my job.
blocking you.
Right.
Because it's like you had these, you had big league power, you had big league defensive abilities, and there was just this one part of your game that was kind of blocking you from moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, and DJ made it a point to
Yeah.
I mean, he said he was like, I just struck out too much. I mean, he said that like 3 or 4 times when he spoke, and whatever. Strikeouts, I don't mind strikeouts.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a time not to strike out.
Sure.
You got to put a ball in play, but who gives a shit if there's 2 outs and nobody on base and you strike out?
Try to do some damage. Would you rather try to do damage or dribble one to the second baseman?
Yeah, you know.
Yeah. Interesting.
Whatever.
Yeah, I actually look back on my career and wish that I had done less 2-strike swinging and just tried to do more damage, because I feel like I gave away some at-bats just because I didn't want to strike out.
Right.
I was like, was it better that I just dribbled one into the infield? Like, was that better, really?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, you're exactly
but
right.
There's it's weird. It's like there's kind of shame, or some people feel some shame in strikeouts.
Yeah.
But especially and I know it's big with the Latin players. Like, they really believe that you cannot walk off the island. You got to hit to get off the island, right?
Yeah.
So they're swinging.
Yeah.
All right. So a couple of your favorite ballpark songs you remember, that they'd be playing. Some of the classics.
Honestly, I didn't love any of them. Still don't.
Right? It's just like the same songs. Like 20 of them that are just like endlessly plays, like John Fogerty and
Yeah. It is. I tell you what though, there's a lot to be said for like a guy who's controlling the songs at a park, and he plays good shit.
He's doing a good job.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that even as a player, it makes it more fun.
Well said. Who were a couple guys that you played with that you felt, maybe had pro tools or pro potential that never got there?
I don't know if I mentioned his name earlier, but a guy named Brian Cole.
I don't think
he was with the he was in the organization when I was with the Mets, and he was one of the.
Are we talking? Didn't make it to the big leagues?
Yeah, he didn't make it.
Okay.
He didn't make it to AAA because he rolled his SUV leaving spring training, and he was going to be in the big leagues probably at the end of that year.
Mm-hmm.
Just a 5-tool player, probably weighed 160 pounds.
Really?
A dude. He was from the dirty South somewhere, but he left spring training going to AAA. This is a year or 2 after I left the Mets, but he rolled his SUV and ended up killing himself. And
jeez.
Like I said, I mean, he was going to the big leagues, and he was going to be there for a while, and he's never made it, man.
You never know when it's your time, man. Life is precious. Jeez. What about anyone from around here in high school that you felt like was really talented, or in college that you knew? You didn't play college, so anyone that you played with from around here that you felt like had pro tools that did not go on to that next level, you can remember?
There's a lot of guys, for sure. I mean, Eric Louie and I talked about it from time to time. I mean, he came out and watched me play a couple times, and You know, and I'm sure, you know, as a baseball player, you go to a minor league field, especially when all the guys are about your age, and you're trying to measure up with everyone, you know, and you know, just there are aspects of everybody's game that I played with that could have translated to pro ball.
Yeah.
So it's an unfair comparison, really. I mean, sometimes really, you know, guys' arms develop late.
Yeah.
So there was probably some pitchers in there that they could have pitched in the you know, in pro ball that
hung them up before they really hit their that next bump in velo, you know,
exactly.
or that next for sure. That's interesting. Best way to break in a glove, condition it.
Vaseline.
Yeah, I remember you said that last time, and I've never heard that before. Tell me about it.
Vaseline, man. You just
Just Vaseline it up?
You just grab some Vaseline and massage it in real good. Make sure you get the, you know, all the strings and everything. And, man, it makes it feel great. It makes it feel heavy.
Yeah, I remember you said
you
like that.
Yeah, I always like that. When my gloves dry out, they get real light.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to feel
some weight to it.
Yeah, I like to feel the weight of my glove.
How long would you have a glove as a gamer before they were done?
I probably 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'd always tear.
Would you have like a backup that you would do more drills with and then a gamer, or just your gamer?
No, I used my gamer
all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, and there were games where, you know, I'd catch a ball or something and I was lucky because it'd tear something.
Yeah.
And the ball would be like halfway through the web and be like, shit, man, I could have dropped that. But you do quick repairs and
who's
whatever.
You got a couple funny. Who are the couple of your funniest teammates you played with?
The funniest teammate that I've ever or that I played with was it was Chris Chris, his dad was the head coach of
Duncan.
Yeah, Chris Duncan. I can't believe I forgot his name, dude. He was the funniest dude I ever met.
Riot.
Yeah. Just clubhouse, just, you know, fucking off.
Those guys are the best. They really keep everyone loose, you know, like especially when it's like the middle of the summer and people are scuffling or this. It's nice to have a guy like that just keeps things light.
Yeah. No doubt. He went to Joe Schroeder came visit me one time in Knoxville, and we were actually on the road, and we all went out one night, and Joe, he mentioned the story the other day. Chris was taking dry hacks on the dance floor at some club that we were at. I mean, it wasn't like a super, you know, hype club or anything, but he was out on the dance floor working on a swing. But he was hilarious, man.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
You ever find yourself taking dry hacks just with, you know, like random objects like, you know, paper towel rolls or rake or anything?
Sometimes both of my kids used to get pissed at me all the time because I would tell them, you know, I'd grab a bat in the front room or whatever and be like, dude, this is what you need to do.
Yeah.
This is how you're supposed to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I would show them what they're doing, and then I would show them how I want them to do it, and they'd be like, Dad, that looks like the same fucking thing. And I'm like, damn it.
It's not the same thing.
It's not the same thing.
It's not. See the subtleties.
Yeah, no doubt.
Do you have like a craziest teammate that you remember, or just like a wild boy?
That's probably me.
I love that. Best infield arm that you remember seeing?
Best infield arm. Seen some hoses. Johnny P had a hose.
Peralta?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was just smooth, man.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, I wouldn't call him a smooth fielder, but
he was kind of a thicker boy, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was a big dude.
Yeah, like a big shortstop.
Yeah. He was like 18 or 19 when I played with him.
Okay.
And he was just thick, but when the ball came out of his hands, it just exploded.
Yeah.
You know, but there was a guy my first year with the Mets. His name was Guillermo Mota.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was like 6'8", 6'9", and he was a shortstop. Yeah, he was shortstop, and it was like, man, this guy's really a shortstop. He was taking ground balls with us and shit. And I'm like, whatever. He ended up getting to the big leagues with the Mets as a relief pitcher. I think. I don't think he started, but yeah, he threw bullets. But yeah, I mean, do you imagine? I'm 18 years old. I don't know how old he was. He was probably only 19, but he was 6'9", shortstop.
Yeah.
Throwing 95 across a diamond. I'm like, I'm not going to play short.
Yeah.
You know.
Was Yachty's arm just stupid from behind the dish?
It was just money.
Yeah.
It was
every time
always money.
Yep.
Yeah. It was always money. I never looked at his arm thinking, man, he's got a hose. I've never seen a catcher throw that hard.
Yeah.
It was just quick, and it
always there.
It was there.
Yeah. Best outfield arm? Anyone stand out?
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, Rick I never played with Ankiel when he was a position player.
Yeah.
But, seeing him a couple years later on TV ripping it from center,
Man.
I mean, that's just stupid.
Yeah. Any pitcher that you remember that just stood out was like, man, this is the nastiest breaking ball I've ever seen, or anything like that, or how am I supposed to hit that?
Dirty breaking balls. Seen plenty of those. God. Not really. I mean, CC.
Yeah.
I faced him the year before I played with him. I played against him, and just a huge individual.
Yeah. Huge man.
Coming downhill.
Yeah.
And he had a 12-6, right?
Yeah.
Filthy. Just big curveball, and it wasn't even. I don't know. It wasn't even solid, but the ball coming out of his hand was dirty. I think I played against or faced Josh Beckett a couple times.
Okay.
He had good shit.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Electric stuff.
Yeah.
There's a video out there, I don't know if you've ever seen it, of CC Sabathia going back to like a high school alumni game and hitting an absolute mammoth, like 500-foot home run. That's ridiculous. If you're like Googling it sometime, it's ridiculous. Like, I guess he could swing it too. I mean,
apparently.
Good boy.
I mean, I'm sure he hooped in high school too, right?
Yeah. Out of, you obviously got to play with a ton of talented athletes. Does anyone stand out above anyone else? It's like, man, that guy was just so talented, like the most talented guy you've played with.
Just the season that I played with Victor Martinez.
Oh yeah.
Just everything he hit was a laser.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of like I mentioned Brian McClure.
Yeah.
Like in high school,
everything was on the nails.
That's what Victor was doing in Double A. It was just.
I looked at his stats; they're stupid. It's like mid-threes batting average, 20-something dings. A ton of doubles.
He just didn't.
Slugging percentage off the.
He didn't care. He just hit. You know.
And a switch hitter too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Which is even more amazing.
So impressive.
Dude.
Yeah.
Like
I'm always
doing it from both sides, and and a good catcher, man. I mean, catchers don't do that shit.
Right. Yeah.
Switch hitting catcher.
Yeah, not even expected
with power.
Of them.
Yeah.
They just have to be adequate.
Yeah.
Offensively.
Yeah.
Best? Do you have like a favorite manager? I think you said DJ to me before.
DJ. I had a lot of fun with DJ. Most of them were really cool. I always enjoyed playing for my dad growing up.
Yeah. I remember you kind of said you didn't really have maybe a favorite hitting coach, but do you have a least favorite hitting coach that you played with?
Yeah, they all suck.
Okay. Hardest year in baseball.
Hardest year in baseball. Probably the year I got sent down. Got sent down from the Florida State League, and then like a month or two in Columbia, broke my hand, so just almost went backwards.
Yeah.
Actually, I did go backwards. because I think that following year they sent me in spring training. They sent me down to back to Columbia, and I was ready to quit. But yeah.
What did you do with your signing bonus? Anything fun? Do anything dumb as an 18-year-old, like get some rims or something like that?
Yeah, not really. I mean, my car took a shit on draft day, so it was done.
Oh, that's when you almost got blinded by your radiator.
Yeah,
is that right?
Yeah, yeah. No, I bought a Chevy Blazer.
Yeah.
I mean, I always got to buy a car, and then, I get a spring training. Like that year, they were already extended. They didn't let rookies drive down there.
Right.
So I didn't, I didn't get to drive my new whip until the next spring training.
Yeah. And
I showed up, and I realized that my vehicle wasn't that cool in comparison to.
Well, you're talking about
a lot of them.
CC having video game consoles and
yeah,
stuff.
dude,
and like...
can't compare it or compete with that. But yeah, I tried to invest it a little bit. I mean, $80,000 or whatever it was seemed like a lot back then. After taxes, it's like 50 or whatever.
Yeah.
But $50,000 doesn't stretch too far,
man.
Doesn't.
Yeah, buddy. Looking back, and this is kind of a deep question, would you have done anything different in your pro career? Does anything stand out? Like, man, if I would have just done this different, or.
Well, like we said before, just using the whole field.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say. I mean.
Yeah. Anything that jumps out, and this is like a broad question, but any important experiences in minor leagues that really were important for you, like shaping you as a person or anything like that?
I mean, just, coming out of high school and, more or less being successful all the time.
Yeah.
At least in baseball.
Oh, that must have been wild for you. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you go from hitting 400 in high school to making a lot of outs.
Yeah.
In pro ball. And just, it humbles you.
Yeah.
And, and the fact that you're away from home, you're not around your people, and learning how to take care of yourself.
Right.
So
well said.
You're taking care of yourself. You're dealing with offers.
Yeah.
I mean, that'll make you grow up pretty quick.
Man, that was great. What were a couple of your favorite fields you played at, or stadiums?
Fields, I loved Akron. It was it was right down in the middle of the city, and it was kind of sunken in. It's off a hill, and there's a big hotel behind it out in right center. That was really cool. I mean, Buffalo was a pretty good stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the kids nowadays are spoiled, dude.
Right.
Like some of the rat holes that I played in single A ball.
Yeah.
They wouldn't survive nowadays.
Right.
I mean, there's some very nice single A complexes.
Right. Yeah.
Out there right now.
And I put out. You're not even on Facebook, are you?
No.
I don't think so. But your mom gave me a ton of pictures of you, and I put them out. Has anyone showed you those?
I've seen a couple.
I put like 40 pictures out. I mean, ranging from like your, going all the way back to your Pan Am stuff and like Little League and like all the way through. And there's a picture your mom took of that, like, whatever it is, a potato sack for a base when you were playing down in Mexico.
Oh,
yeah. It's a picture. It's on there. It's crazy. Like,
yeah.
She's not joking. Like that was.
It really was.
Looked like a potato sack.
Potato
I don't know
sack
what else to call it.
With no potatoes in it. I mean, it was just a sack.
Team USA play with potato sacks.
Yeah, dude. I don't even know how it was held down, to be honest with
you. That's hilarious. What was your most fun year in baseball?
Most fun year? Probably the year in Kinston. I got to hit 3-hole.
Yeah.
A few guys got moved up at the All-Star break, and I was probably hitting 6 or 7 in the first half of the season. But when they got pushed up, I dropped in the 3-hole and
Yeah.
stayed there for most of the year. I think Simon, who we talked to earlier, he was hitting 4, and he and I became real close that year.
Yeah.
And it was just like that community, like Kinston was. It wasn't like a super small town, but it was big enough that they brought a lot of fans.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what else there was in Kinston, North Carolina.
Right.
But they were always real cool to me, and they got behind all their players, and I was successful that year and hitting 3-hole. Like that's how that's how I wanted it to be all the time.
Did you prefer 3-hole?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the 3.
Where do you feel like you spent the majority of your time in pro ball? Was there like a one, or just kind of all over the place?
Yeah. I was, as shitty as my average was, I mean, I was 3 to 7 probably.
Right. Okay.
Somewhere in there, 3 to 7.
Do you have a most memorable game that you played in?
Can't say it. I talked about the 2 grand slams in an inning,
or the 3-homer game.
And the 3-homer game.
Pretty special.
Yeah.
Did you have any rituals or superstitions or stuff like that?
I'm pretty superstitious. Whatever I did the day that I got a couple of hits,
redo it.
I did it the next day, and the next day, if
keep it rolling, like same meals, like if you watch something, that kind of stuff. Or?
Yeah, shit. I mean, pretty much anything.
Yeah.
I mean, this is kind of embarrassing, but I never tear the toilet paper roll like off of the whatever it's called that separates each ply, right?
Oh,
like,
interesting.
It's got to be a clean tear. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
right?
I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying.
It's got to be a clean tear.
Yeah.
This is funny too. We talked. This is a couple of years ago. I'm talking to my dad about superstitions, stuff like that, and I told him, we're. I can't remember what he said a superstition was, but I said, yeah, one of them that you taught me was, putting my right shoe on first. And I said, I did that for as long as I can remember. And he's like, well, I used to put on my left shoe first.
You had it backwards?
Yeah, and I was like, oh, fuck.
All these years?
Dad.
I'm living a lie.
Yeah, no doubt.
If you're not first, you're last. What are you talking about? That's funny.
No, I superstitions, I do that in just everyday life.
Speaking of Bobby stuff, there's a picture of you. Maybe it's the Paducah Storm. It's around 13-14, where you're wearing green pants for some team. And wasn't one of Bobby's things like you'd never lose to a team with green uniforms or something like that?
He must not have made that trip. Well, my mom gave you the picture, right?
Yeah.
So she obviously she was there. It might have been one of those deals where I got picked up by a squad or something. And
you're wearing some green pants.
I didn't go home and tell my dad
Bobby
what I
would
was
not
wearing
have
that
approved.
day. No.
Why is that one of his funny things?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what it has to do.
Was it never lose to a team that's wearing green uniforms or green pants?
I don't think he specified, just wearing green in general.
Green's it.
Yeah.
Green's out. Do you have a most memorable bomb? Just a single one? Or not to beat a dead horse. I keep asking you about bombs and stuff.
I'd love talking about bombs, man.
Hell yeah.
Well, I actually, when I got called up to Buffalo, and I couldn't say this is memorable, but it was the only hit that I got in a AAA uniform, and it was actually in the first game of the playoffs, so it's not even registered that I got a hit in AAA.
Yeah.
I mean, it's somewhere, I'm sure, but they had a monster net protecting a highway in left field at Buffalo, and I caught a changeup out front, hit one over the net, landed in the highway, and some dude came up to me after the game, and he's like, I don't think I've ever seen a ball get hit over that net before, and he seemed like a a loyal fan. So,
yeah, that's cool.
You know, I remember that.
Yeah,
you know,
that's cool. Remember the stuff that Simon was talking about, like saving bugs and getting hits?
Yeah.
You think there's anything to that?
Sure. Sure. It probably worked at times. It probably, yeah.
Yeah. What age did you believe that you could play pro ball, or was it in your heart?
Yeah. I'm sure when I started playing on those USA teams and stuff.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't have, you know, I didn't have great. I mean, the experience was great, but the baseball, I don't think I played particularly awesome.
Okay.
When I was on those teams, but you know, just being in a group of players that were that good.
Yeah.
And you know, we knew it, and you know, hearing some of the schools that these guys are already know they're going to, you know, I knew I had a chance to do something.
Yeah.
After high school, for sure.
Do you have any advice for like a 12-year-old or like a young dude who really loves the game and, you know, has aspirations of playing pro ball? Anything, just any kind of just like line of advice or anything like that?
Yeah, just get your arm stronger. You know,
cool.
Because you know you have to throw a baseball to be successful in this game, and
Well said.
the guys who throw it harder, you know, they got the best shot.
That's perfect. My next question was actually, I'm glad you said that. How do you recommend building arm strength?
Long catch, man.
Yeah.
The
Long toss?
age old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
long toss.
there's different, you know, thoughts on long toss. Were you like only go until you can keep it on a line, or were you like really air it out as long as you can, or what?
Yeah, kind of both, man.
Yeah.
Like I more or less aired it out all the way down, and then when I brought it back, I started putting it on a line.
Okay. Interesting.
But I loved playing catch.
Me too.
I really did. Like it was fun, and you know, I saw a guy, I can't tell you what field, where I was, if it was college, if it was high school, if it was a pro game, but I saw a guy throwing from just kind of pregame stuff. I saw a guy throwing from the foul line down by the pole, you know, by the fence, and throwing it. I don't know if he made it all the way to the other foul pole.
Yeah.
But just watching how he just real smoothly crow hopped and was launching balls that far, and I was like, man, that looks fun. That looks great to be able to do something like that. And like in pro ball, it actually it helped my arm feel good all the time.
Yeah.
Because playing short, man, a couple times a week after the game, you're like, damn,
it's hard on your arm.
It
Different
just sucks.
angles that you have to throw.
Yeah.
And, you know, funky movements for sure.
Yeah, no, I got lucky when I moved to third base. You know, I started throwing over the top and trying to work on back spinning balls, and my arm felt so much better for the rest of my career.
There's something really cool about watching a couple guys that can really air it out.
Yeah.
And play long toss. You're like, oh damn. Like I can remember watching PJ in his heyday and being like, damn, like this dude has an absolute bazooka. You know, just like he was doing like foul pole to foul pole, like on a line. It seemed like I was like, damn, dude, like, okay. Amongst the most successful teammates you've played for, does anything stand out aside from their talent, just like how they went about business or handled themselves?
No, I don't know. I mean, a lot of guys had their own thing, you know, a lot of rituals, but just like hitters hit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Hitters hit. Pitchers kind of do their own thing, but there were some guys that spent 20 minutes in the cage every day.
Yeah.
And there were some guys that spent an hour and a half in the cage every day. So
whatever works for you.
Yeah. I mean, whatever makes you feel like you can hit in the game that's what you got to do.
No, I've talked to some guys, and I would do it myself. Like if I was doing like drills before a game, or taking BP and I hit like a couple where I felt like I was where I wanted to be, I would stop. Would you do that, or would you keep rolling, or stuff like that?
I mean, BP is BP on the field, so you're going to take your swings. But you're right. I mean, quality before quantity.
Yeah, you only got so many bullets. You know?
Yeah. And why sit there? I mean, if it's good and it feels good, why sit there and just and beat it up?
Yeah.
You know.
Right. What are you most proud of looking back on your pro career?
I think I did a good job of switching from a shortstop. You know, I was prepped to be a shortstop my whole life.
Yeah.
And our first round pick that year was shortstop, so I knew I wasn't going to stay there. And but I think I adapted well to second base and third base, and I feel like I could have played in the big leagues and at either of those positions. Yeah. So I mean, I'm definitely proud of that, and you know, just the longevity, man. I made it 10 years.
Career, man. That's a long time. Yeah.
And
a
like
lot of summers under the sun.
Yeah. No, it's yeah. I'm definitely proud of those things.
That's so cool, man. I know it's funny. I sold him on this. Like, hey, let's come do this an hour tops, and we're knocking on 2.5, 3 hours now, and I don't regret it at all, man. I'm so glad we did this. We're getting much deeper into these questions, and I feel better about this.
Yeah, me too, man.
Cool. But we are getting close to the end though, so I hope I'm not keeping you from anything here. All right, cool, man. Growing up, so coming up and playing high school stuff, do you have a couple guys from each sport that you really liked competing against that were just like, I can't wait to line them up against this dude?
Yeah, I mean, I felt like Mike Pilger at SHG. He and I were very similar athletes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was probably faster than me.
Yeah, he was known for flying, right?
Yeah, no, I think I was probably stronger than him, or whatever. But I think we matched up pretty well in pretty much every sport, even though we played different positions.
Right.
No, I remember him, and in basketball, I was just another dude, just trying to stay on the court. So I can't say any of those guys were any of the guys that I played with.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're talking about Division I basketball players.
Yeah,
so
a lot of
that wasn't my speed. Yeah, I can't. I mean, like I said, Mike comes to mind. But there were plenty of guys that I, maybe didn't want to face that were pitching.
Yeah.
That's
cool. Yeah, Mike Pilger is. I was looking at his stats. So I've got all the stats, obviously, from your high school career, and Mike Pilger's name is either like 1 or 2. It seems like every year in batting average.
Yeah.
That dude was hitting like 500. Like.
Yeah.
Absolute stud. There's legends about him. I think he went down and played at University of. It's either Tampa, University of Tampa, I believe.
Somewhere down there.
And then played a little indie ball, and I was wondered like how his career went, like because I know a lot of people thought he was, destined for some affiliated ball as well, and it just didn't happen. One of those things, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But shout out to Mike Pilger.
Sure.
This was I like this one. Obviously I recognize you when you're out, and I did recognize you years ago. When you were out, I'd be like, oh, Corey Erickson. Do you feel like you ever get recognized when you're out, or people come up to you and say, "Are you Corey Erickson?"
Sometimes not much anymore. Back in the day, though, it did happen. Obviously, when I was home.
Yeah.
People come up and have their boy with them and tell their kid who I was, and that was cool, man. That's one of the most fun parts about being a pro athlete is people recognizing you and appreciating what you do, and seeing the kids when their dad introduces them to you, and they're all shy, just like I would have been, meeting an adult.
Right.
That's special, man. Definitely.
Just and I felt that same way as a 35-year-old coming up to you at Walmart. What do you miss most about the game?
Bombs.
I knew that was gonna be the answer, right?
You could answer for
It's
me.
gotta
No,
be the answer.
bombs, but just like I said, man, the camaraderie.
Yeah.
You know, the bus trips.
Man. Yep, that was a big
like
bus trip night, too.
the in-game stuff. You know, happen. You know, things happen all the time. You know what was great about playing. You know, later in my career, I played at a few stadiums that packed. You know, they packed the people in, and just when you make a great play or something, and people individually yell your name.
Yeah, it's cool.
You know, great play, Corey. You know, like you'll never forget that shit.
Yeah.
You know, or when you hit a ball that when it leaves your bat, you can hear this like kind of humming sound coming from the stands.
The build up.
Yeah, and it just builds up, and then when the ball finally, you know, lands somewhere, just the crowd, it just chills, man.
Can you close your eyes and put yourself back into that, like kind of like
kind of
a little bit?
Kind of.
That's awesome, man. I hope you can always remember that.
Yeah.
Did you have like a favorite brand of spikes? You know, Nike, Reebok. You care? Low, high?
I was always low.
Yeah, low top.
Yeah, low or 3/4. I was, you know what I liked is the Oakland A's used to wear whites, and I wear white shoes all the time. Like that's kind of my thing.
Yeah.
Even though my brother said the other day, like old men wear white shoes now, but like I'm not wearing Pro Wings, dude. I mean,
no, you got some Force Ones on. Like this
Air
man,
Force Ones with a gummy.
Yeah,
you know?
those are sick. He's not wearing what is it? Air Monarch, Nike Air Monarchs are like the official dad.
Yeah.
You know, mowing grass shoe.
Yeah.
That's not what you're wearing. This dude, I mean, Air Force Ones are timeless.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but baseball spike wise, you didn't have any like whatever.
I mean, probably Nike, whatever my agent could get to me for free, so I don't have to buy any.
Yeah, for sure. Nice. Do you think there are any dumb traditions in baseball that you don't like?
The seventh inning stretch is kind of played out. But
Not
whatever. I mean,
yeah,
it is part of the game, so I shouldn't say that.
Pimping home runs, yay or nay?
I was never one to do it.
You think you would have now?
Man, I would love to.
Because you can do it now, right? It's accepted.
Yeah, I would love to hit a bomb and just do something.
Yeah.
Because I never did. I never, you know.
Put your head down. Yeah.
Yeah. It was more like, you know, the most I ever did was just take a step or two out of the box, and then, you know, and then kind of break into a jog. Like, you know, I'll see you, boy.
Man, I tried to pimp one home run in my career, and I hit it off the top of the fence at Southeast. I Cadillac'd it all the way to first. And then I was like, oh, shit. I heard ching, 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 you know, hit the fence.
Yep.
And then I got on my horse. I got thrown out at third, going for a triple, and Coach Steinwart was not happy with me. Let's say that. I think I sat the rest of that game.
Yeah.
Never
well,
did
at least
again.
you didn't get thrown out second.
Right.
No, but to your point, though, or to answer your question, I don't have a problem with pimping home runs, man. I think it's great. And
they're having fun. You know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a show, man. Pro sports are like, they're actors now.
It's entertainment.
Yeah.
That's what it is, really.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with it. You know, the dig on it is, okay, they're showing up the pitcher. So, in turn,
let him
I don't
celebrate, too.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with pitchers.
Yeah.
You know?
Fist pumping.
Yeah, fist.
Whatever,
fist
strike
pump.
out or, you know, whatever you want to do. You want to do in the D-Generation X, whatever. Like, do whatever. Thoughts on the Savannah Bananas? You know what that is?
I do.
What you got?
I do. I mean, I've seen some clips, and some of them have done some impressive shit. I saw a guy do a backflip in center field and catch the ball at the same time. Did you see that one?
Yeah. They do some wild stuff. It's like Harlem Globetrotter baseball, essentially, whatever.
Yeah.
Do you ever have baseball dreams?
Not anymore.
Do you used to?
I think so.
Like just that you were still playing or getting another chance?
Yeah.
It's one of those kind of things? Yeah.
Yeah, good, bad experiences, whatever.
Yeah.
I used to have those, and anymore I'm separated.
For sure. Final question. What advice, if you could, what advice would you give to 18-year-old Corey that was just drafted and just embarking on his professional career?
Man, that's a tough one. Do we got another hour?
We could.
Yeah, just I'd tell Corey to listen to your coaches, but invest in yourself, which I kind of did, but again, use the whole field.
Yeah.
Use the whole field, and trust that you could do it.
Yeah.
Don't just do it in practice to get people off your ass. Just invest in it and apply it in the game.
Oh, love that. Well, buddy, we're at the end.
No way.
We finally made it.
Yeah.
I told you it was going to be an hour, and here we are at about 3 hours in. So this was great.
Yeah, that was fun, man.
Oh, man. This has been such a ride, a journey, man. I mean, I believe this is going to be 11, 12 hours total of us talking about your career, which is, and I don't think there's a second that's fluff. I think it's all relevant, and it's been so cool to hear, go back and talk to all these guys. And thank you for everyone that participated. Amazing that they gave you time, to really think, give their thoughts and talk about your career and how they saw you. And I hope that, you found it touching, or, that they had these thoughts, that they looked at you in this way, and that I don't know if you needed healing, but I hope it was healing for you if you did in some ways. That.
Well, that's what I told Carlie when I first listened to PJ's, and then the other guys along the way. I'm like, man, dude, it's got to be so. I don't think I use the word healing, but
therapeutic healing, whatever. You want to
therapeutic.
Call it.
Yeah. For these guys to go through their careers like this, because we don't talk about it anymore.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
And I'm separated a lot more than all these other guys. So this has gotten me a lot better than them potentially. But I appreciate you, man. This is cool, man.
Yeah.
I got this forever now.
You do. You have this forever. You're, like I always say, like your family, your boys. Someday you won't be here. Hopefully you live for a long time, but they'll always have this. Generations of Ericksons will have this. I appreciate all the Ericksons that have told me how much they appreciate this. And, I've made mention to it many times that I grew up, looking up to you. And you always say, like, don't meet your heroes, right? Because it's going to be a bad experience. But this has been the exception to the rule for me, because this has been so cool. And getting to, to meet you for real and, like, to sit down and talk to you and become friends,
Yeah.
And, like, now we're boys. I'll declare it again that we're, you and I are boys. And it just, man, I already had this reverence, this respect for you and what you've been through in your career. And I have even more after going through this process and hearing how guys saw you and how you talk about it and just what you went through. And it's just been truly a journey worth remembering, and just been very special to me. So thank you for coming here, dude. Do you have anything to add here at the end, or you're good?
Yeah, I think I'm good.
Yeah.
Just thanks again to everyone, like you said, that took the time to speak on my behalf, and all the stories they brought up.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been great. Well,
thank you.
We're gonna get on out of here. This has been the Corey Erickson experience, or the Corey Erickson story, and thank you all for joining. I'm a big believer in time being the most important thing, the most precious thing. So, thank you for Corey for giving us some. Thank you for everyone that participated, and thank you for everyone that's listening. We are the Post-Game Spread. This is an oral history of this man's life and career. So thank you for listening. We appreciate you. The Post-Game Spread is out. So thank you for listening. We appreciate